Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Just Be. Yes, I did see some stuff about that. I gotta look more into that situation. But listen, I guess the reason why I don't take when people do that, I don't take as much offense to it. Good morning, Michelle. The reason I don't take as much offense to it is because when you think about like a Black American community, which started in the bedrock of the church, a lot of those people lied about all of the shit that is on their, bio. I mean, or like I said, they didn't achieve it. Somebody gave it to them. Um, I don't know. That's why I don't like look into that as much. It's not as shocking to me because coming from the scene of the Black church, they do that all the time. And that's why I think it's hypocritical that the Black church scrutinizes these secular people the way that they do when they do it, because they're doing the same thing that they do. Most of their parents, most of the people who they revere, they are real doctors. They got an honorary doctorate from somewhere. And more than likely because they had some connection to somebody who was able to get them. I know some people within the Black church community who have honorary doctors who never graduated a college period. Like they might have. I question if someone graduated high school. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. Like I know of people. I'm saying fact like next to me who have honorary doctorates who I question if they graduated high school. Right. So that's why it's no shock to me when people embellish that kind of stuff, because it's done all the time. You said, no, this is too many lies. This isn't one or two. He's telling Misha level lies. Yeah, I gotta like look more into it, like deep down into it. But I did see the news reporting of it. I guess like I'm saying, I'm not saying it's not deep. What I'm saying is I bypass those stories because I see it so often in real life. Like people do it in real life. So, and the same people who who will make judgments on these people doing it, they make judgments on they don't say anything, when it's done in their own community, and especially when they know that it's somebody who they revere in the community, they don't say shit. So, I mean, if you can listen to somebody who graduated high school and has an honorary degree and you have respect for him, I mean, who's to say this man didn't do the same level of work? But I'm going to look into it because, like I said, I just bypassed the story really quick because I was like, oh, this just not, like, it was just typical to me. You said he ran 600 miles in 6 days, a full marathon, and like Forrest Gump, girl. He ran around the globe like Forrest Gump. Lord have mercy. So, you guys, I am coming back because I wanted to come to you guys yesterday, but I got so busy so that we could look at some of Keffe D's interviews and try to connect them to the book, right? Things that he said in the book, because he is so adamant that he did not write this book. Like he keeps re-emphasizing throughout this whole trial proceedings, all of the pre-trial. Now we're about to go into trial on Monday, and he keeps re-emphasizing that he did not write this book, right? And so I thought that last weekend I got this idea that it would probably make sense for us to read the book compared to his interviews and determine, did he write this book or did he not? Are the people who saying he doesn't know what's in the book, are they legitimately saying that? Or are they saying that because they didn't read the book and they're just going off of the way they think he's being questioned and making assumptions based on the way he's questioning and answering that he doesn't know what's in the book, right? And so after we listen to the book on Audible, we are able, I am anyway, able to come to a conclusion that Keffe D did write this book, because a lot of the way of his interview style is verbatim what's in the book, right? And so my plan this morning was to come and for us to listen to a couple of interviews that Keffe D has done in order for us to try to match it up to what's in the book, right? So that we can determine, did he, good morning, Cookie Boo? so that we can try to come to a conclusion. Did he or didn't he write this book? How much influence did he have over the writing of this book, right? We can all agree to the fact, because Black people of color like to get particular when it comes to things like this, right? We can all agree to the fact that Keffe D did not type one word in the book, that he did not take one piece of pen and no ink in the pen to the paper to write a word in this book. But he provided the intellectual material for the composition of this book. He was presented with the opportunity to make any changes or adjustments by the editor prior to sending it to publishing, and he made none. Those things are confirmed. And this book is titled with his name alongside a co-author, Yusef Job, right? And so many of the things, like I said, there are some trends, some things, that consistent things that we find in the book that are in his style of interview. Well, listen, you guys, I didn't get an opportunity to come for y'all to listen to his past interviews because Keffe D just will not stop talking. Okay. So he did another phone interview yesterday. So we know we watched one part of the interview that he gave just at the beginning of the week. It was with this interview here. So this picture I have here, I'm gonna come back to this. Okay. So it was with this interview here. Okay. He sat down and did this interview. We watched part one. We didn't watch part two. In interview part two, he reveals that he believes that Reggie Wright was responsible for the unaliving of Tupac Shakur. It is mentioned and said that the night that Tupac Shakur, Reggie Wright Jr., let me say that, right? So Senior was also supposedly on the bankroll of Suge Knight. But Junior was, like, I guess, armed security. He was doing moonlighting jobs with Suge and Death Row Records. And so he was alleged to have been in the vehicle the night of the incident. And from what some say, he was supposedly in the back seat of the vehicle. And so with Tupac and Suge Knight. And so Keffe D, in the second part of this sit-down interview here, he alleges that Reggie Wright did this. He believes that Reggie Wright did this, right? And there are a lot of other people who say the same. Keffe D is not the only one who says this. There are lots of people who say the same, okay? So that was this interview. But now Keffe D has done another interview. Okay. And we are about to listen to that interview right now, you guys. Hold on. So this is coming from Fox 5 Las Vegas. Okay. Go like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'm pretty sure they're going to have lots of trial coverage in relation to this case. Jury selection is due to start Monday. Okay. And so this is the full interview. This interview, the first interview we watched, I didn't know that there was a part two to it until a couple of days later, right? But in part two, he simply just basically says he believes that Reggie Wright Jr. is the one who unalived Tupac Shakur, right? And so, and Reggie was a police officer. Right? He was a police officer. His dad was a police officer. And so, but like I said, they also were on the payroll of Death Row Records. They were employed by Suge Knight. And so they were doing moonlighting jobs similar to like Gene Deal. You know what I'm saying? Like the same kind of situation. And it was why oftentimes Gene told Puff, and I do believe that part of the story, that if something goes down, he didn't want to be mentioned because he did not want his employment with his police job to be impacted by anything that might occur while he is moonlighting with Puff. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of the times they don't like for police officers to moonlight for celebrities or any type of high profile thing, a nightclub or anything like of that nature, because you have the risk of things becoming like this, corrupt, where the lines are blurred and things, evidence gets hidden and people they just don't like it, right? And so we are about to watch the full interview on Fox 5 Las Vegas of Keffe D. This is a phone interview. This is a second interview. So I don't want you to confuse this. This is not the second part to the first interview. At the beginning of last week, he did an interview that was two parts. They released one part and then released the second part. We didn't watch the second part, but I'm telling you that in the second part, he points to Reggie Wright Jr. as the one who did the shooting that night, right? But this is a second interview with someone totally different from that sit down interview at the beginning of the week. So let's take a listen, you guys.
Well, you've been in custody since 2023. Your trial's coming up in a few days. How are you holding up?
I'm doing good.
Hold on, you guys.
Best I can.
Let me take it back.
Well, you've been in custody since 2023. Your trial's coming up in a few days. How are you holding up?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Best I can. Yep. So how you doing?
Getting ready for the trial as well. So, I read your book, Compton Street Legend, that you co-authored. Why did you feel the need to tell your story? And when you wrote it, did you ever imagine the situation you'd be in now?
I didn't write that book. I just told him 10 things in my life and gave him some pictures. He did research and stuff like that. Him and my lawyer did that book. My lawyer died, and I just went on and signed on to it with him. I never read it or nothing.
You were never handed a manuscript to sign off on?
No, I never read the book or nothing. I never. It was already. And him and my lawyer was doing his name was Wayne Higgins, and he passed water in his yard. And they was friends, and he got in contact with me. Then I was assigned on to him. He gave me like 10 pictures, told me like 10 things that happened in my life, and he had it all, the adverbs and stuff like that. He did the thing on research. So yeah, I never I didn't write that book.
Well, I did read it. It mentions some interactions you had with Tupac Shakur. How would you describe your relationship with Tupac before September 1996?
I prefer not to talk about that stuff. I would like to say how my family is in danger and stuff like that, and how I wasn't even in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in Vegas when this stuff happened.
Now, he doesn't want to talk about his relationship with Pop prior to the shooting, the night of the shooting. He is saying that he wants to do this interview because his family is in danger. Now, you guys listen to why he says his family is in danger.
Yeah, I just said that stuff to get out of trouble.
So you were not in Las Vegas, you're saying September 7th, 1996?
No, I wasn't. They can't prove I was in Las Vegas. I wasn't in Las Vegas. And
Now, you guys, we know that when they did the raid on his house, when they went to go arrest him, that they found newspaper clippings that mentioned the unaliving of Tupac, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson's name, Baby Lane, being mentioned in them. He saved those. And in addition to that, he saved a receipt to the Monte Carlo. Now, what was testified to in front of the grand jury by Detective Moog was that they could not confirm when they went back to they couldn't confirm that that Monte Carlo receipt was connected to Keffe D. It was in his possession, but they couldn't confirm that the receipt was connected to him. But they could confirm that one of his friends, who is scheduled to testify in this trial, right, who was there the night of the event, also had a stay that they can confirm at the Monte Carlo. And it was at the Monte Carlo where this friend confirmed that he was told that Baby Lane, Keffe D, and the two other individuals in the vehicle were responsible for the unaliving of Tupac Shakur the night of the event, the night of the actual event. He says that he learned this at the Monte Carlo. It is confirmed that his friend who will be testifying, his friend at the time, who will be testifying did stay at the Monte Carlo. They found a receipt of the Monte Carlo at Keffe D's residence. Okay, that is what was testified to the grand jury by Detective Mode.
My family in real danger. They got like two witnesses that's some dangerous dudes. Like they said, my son put out a hit on one of them. His name is Dante Lee. He the one real dangerous. He killed three guys out there in La Mirada, California.
Okay.
And he said my son put out a hit on him. I wouldn't want my son nowhere near him because he get to kill people for free.
So you heard? Listen, Keffe said they are alleging that Keffe's son put a hit out on this witness for the government, for the state, by Dante, right? Dante obviously is going to testify to something that Keffe D doesn't particularly like. But Keffe feels like that Dante is an unaliver and that he's allowed to do this at the hands of the government. I guess he's insinuating in order to testify against people they want him to testify against, that they let him go out and do these kind of unalivings and he does it for free. He gets away with it. But we are here because there was an agreement that was going to allow Keffe D to get away with similar activity, but he couldn't stop running his mouth. So that's why we are here. So, I mean, talk about the pot calling the kettle. The government was about to let him get away with the same damn thing. Listen to what he says in addition to that he's able to do this for free, I guess insinuating that he has some type of agreement with the government. But listen to what else he alleges, what makes me believe did you have a similar thing with the arrangement with the government because you did the same thing. What you were calling out in Dante, you are guilty of the same activity.
Free, you know what I'm saying? They gave him $5,000. Well, we just played them out of $5,000.
Oh my goodness, you guys, we got to go skip back over. So you hear what he said? He just played them out of $5,000. Now, doesn't that sound familiar, you guys? So Keffe is saying that they allow him to do these things for free in exchange for his cooperation with the police, right? And that the police made some type of arrangement where they paid Dante this $5,000. Well, that seems awfully familiar, seeing as though that Vlad is saying he paid Keffe D $5,000. And but Keffe is saying he paid him $150,000, right? Vlad, his camp, they are denying that. They are saying Keffe got paid $5,000 for that. So, what Keffe is saying are things that he's also alleged to have done. He lied. He's saying Dante lied in order to basically finesse them out of $5,000 and in order to get out of whatever criminal activity he may have been involved in. Well, isn't that what Keffe is claiming he did too? But he's labeling this man so dangerous as a result of this. This man is going to be testifying against him. It is an allegation that Keffe D's son tried to do something to get rid of him, to avoid having him testify. That's what Keffe D is speaking to right now. I messed up, you guys, so we got to go back and find our space.
Died, and I just went on to sign on to it with him. I never read it or nothing.
You were never handed a manuscript to sign off on?
I never read the book or nothing.
We'll just stay right here, you guys, so we can listen to her.
And him and my lawyer was doing it. His name was Wayne Higgins, and he passed water in his yard. And they was friends, and he got in contact with me. Then I just signed on to him. He gave me like 10 pictures, told him like 10 things that happened in my life, and he added all the adverbs and stuff like that. He did the research.
He said he added all the adverbs, right? So all the actions is what he mean. All of the extra, exactly what I just said. All of the presentation that was in the book was probably added in by Yusuf Jah in order to make it attractive to the reader. right? You add all of these pleasantries, you put quotes in from other famous people, you create a scenery that people can be familiar with in order to set people in the time. This is what editors do, right? And so this is what he did. And but listen to uh Keffe D's very elementary way of explaining that. He says he added the adverbs, right? The actions, right? He added all of the extra additional fluff, right? But he didn't add the content. And the way we can tell that he didn't add the content of the book is because in the next few statements, we are going to hear Keffe D say things that corroborate his participation in this book.
So yeah, I never I didn't write that book.
Well, I did read it. It mentions some interactions you had with Tupac Shakur. How would you describe your relationship with Tupac before September 1996?
I prefer not to talk about that stuff. But I would like to say how my family is in danger and stuff like that, and how I wasn't even in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in Vegas when this stuff happened. So I just said that stuff to get out of trouble.
So you were not in Las Vegas. You're saying September 7th, 1996?
No, I wasn't. And they came through. I wasn't in Las Vegas. And my family is in real danger. They got like two witnesses that's some dangerous dudes. Like they said, my son put out a hit on one of them. His name is Dante Lee. He the one real dangerous. He killed three guys out there in La Mirada, California.
Okay.
And he said my son put out a hit on him. I wouldn't want my son nowhere near him because he get to kill people for free and get out of jail for free. You know what I'm saying? And they gave him $5,000. Well, we just played them out of $5,000. He's wrong, He's wrong. And then that Reggie Wright Jr., he's threatening my son on the internet. The last few days, he didn't threaten him on the internet. And it's wrong. It's wrong.
Could you describe back in the 90s the tension between the Southside Crips and Death Row Records?
There wasn't no tension between us never because maybe about 2 weeks before that September in August '96, we was at the House of Blues and they had a concert with the Loonies, Suge, Tupac, and Snoop pulled up.
Okay, so he said wasn't no tension, right? But we continuously hear about this situation at the mall that happened the month prior where one of their people was jumped and they attempted to take the chain of that individual, but then Keffe D's people show up. One of his college homeboys, we heard about that in the book. One of his college homeboys went to the mall. He was supposed to be going on a shopping spree. He ends up encountering these Pyrus. The Pyrus didn't want to harm his homeboy. They show up at the mall. The Southside Crips. I'm trying to keep this straight, y'all. This all this gang language. The Southside Crips show up. They end up beating up the Pyrus and taking a piece of their jewelry. And so this is what is supposed to have allegedly like set off the whole series of events. But now Keffe is saying it was no tension. Everything was good.
Some Rolls Royces. And they came and said, what's going on here? I said, the concert over with. And he said, let's go up to Paradise. We got up there on Santa Monica and Hyatt, right there in Hancock District in LA. We was never at odds with each other. Me and him as friends since we've been knowing each other since we was 8 years old. I played football with him and his daddy and uncles was our coach.
Yeah.
Was never at all with him.
I do want to mention, you had said that you were not in Vegas the night that Tupac died when there was the Mike Tyson fight. Um, again, I read your book, this book.
Okay, he is about to get pissed off, y'all. So pay attention. Pay attention to what he says right now because he is about to get agitated and pissed. She's okay. So since we read the book on Audible, we didn't get to see all of the images, but I do have some of the images from the book that I am going to show to you guys after we finish this interview. Okay. So we didn't get to see the images in the book, but she's going to show him an image of him allegedly in Vegas at the fight the night that these events occurred, right? And he is going to get pissed off about it, and he's going to go on a long rant, and he's going to express regret for even doing this interview. Okay, he is about to get pissed.
Every single page, you included a picture of your sister and yourself at the fight.
That wasn't no fight. Why would I wear an overcoat in September? That's what I had no fight. Why would I wear an overcoat and a hat? I had a suit on and an overcoat. That was a New Year's party. That was a New Year's party.
So it says over here, me and my sister at the fight.
I didn't author that book.
So y'all, she is holding that book up. First off, her arm is wobbling back and forth like that book is so heavy. She can't even keep it straight. Trying to show him look at his face. Look at him. He's laughing. He's laughing, right? Initially, but he's not going to be in a minute. But he got a smirk on his face, and he's saying, okay, his attire wasn't appropriate for the weather, for the time of year, right? So that's why he's trying to justify that was not me at that fight. And I just handed that guy some pictures. I didn't tell him that was a picture of me the night of the fight. He just threw it into the book saying that was me the night of the fight, right? So but look at the smirk on his face. He crazy. Keffe is crazy.
The dude just put that stuff in there. He ain't had no fight. September the 7th, it'll be 115 degrees. What I want to wear a suit with an overcoat on and a hat. Don't make sense.
So I
go back and look at the degrees that September. You think I'll wear that in September 7th? Come on now. A suit with an overcoat on and a hat. That was at a New Year's Eve party. You see Orlando, he got the same floor.
Yep.
He had on a Dan Marino jacket. Dan Marino shirt that night in September, didn't he?
You're saying that
raise it up again. Show me again. Do that look like a Dan Marino shirt? Come on now. Think about it. You can change that quick. You can change up that quick.
Why was this picture included in the book soon after your description?
I did not write that book. A ghostwriter wrote that. He just put that on there.
And he never ran anything by you.
You think I would wear a suit?
So he keeps saying that a ghostwriter wrote the book, but he had to get those pictures from you, Keffe. She's asking you, why did you give him those pictures? And what did you tell him about these pictures when you handed it over to him that made him believe that these pictures were related to the night that Tupac was unalive? But he keeps trying to say, I didn't write the book, but you gave the man the pictures. You gave the content of the book. What did you tell this man? And if you saw, this is why she's asking him, did you sign off on the manuscript? This is stuff that his ass probably shouldn't even be answering on an interview right now, prior to going to trial. She's asking him, did you sign off on a manuscript? His signature signing off on that manuscript says that I attest to that the events in this book are accurate to the best of my recollection. that his signature says, "This is my story. This is my song," right? I'm putting my stamp, my name on this. So she's asking him to give an account for why he would sign off, knowing that there might have been some misplaced pictures. Why didn't he have that adjusted and had them correct the caption under that picture prior to publishing it into the book? That is basically what she's getting at, trying to ask him, because these are things that are going to be asked of him if he were to take the stand. These are things that are going to be asked of the people who edited and published the book if they are called to testify. They are going to be asked, did you send him a manuscript to sign off on? Did he sign the manuscript? Were there any edits? They are going to want to see actual physical evidence to show his approval of all of the information in the book. So this is what she's asking him, and he's answering it. He's testifying without getting on the stand, because every time he get his ass on one of these things, this shit becomes a new exhibit. All of the things that he's doing comes new evidence that can be entered into evidence potentially, because it is discussing the events the night of Tupac's unaliving. This man is nuts. Let's continue to listen.
Two-piece suit with an overcoat on. Come on now. Cashmere overcoat.
Well,
Orlando can change his clothes that quick.
I've watched some of your other interviews. You came out with a few. There was a Vlad TV interview as well.
They paid me money to say that stuff.
You were publicizing the book. Were you publicizing it knowing that you didn't write it?
I was just trying to make my family some money. That's all it is. But you get where I'm coming from? Why would I wear a suit with an overcoat on and a hat September the 7th? Come on now. Think about it. Orlando can change clothes that quick. He can change clothes that quick. Honestly, you think he's a magic man? He got the clothes in the lobby. He can change them clothes that quick. Orlando was a kid, and that picture was 2 years later. That was on a New Year's Eve party. I did not write the book. That's going to show you that I didn't write the book. Why would I have on a suit? You know what I'm saying? I did not write that book.
But the book has been a center of discussion in prior court proceedings, and it seems like it may be brought up in trial. Your name's also associated with it on the front cover.
Okay. One more time?
I said that the book has been brought up in prior court hearings, and it could be brought up in court as well. Your name is on the front cover. So why not stop the book from being published if you knew it was going to be published, if you didn't write it?
I didn't know that. I never read it. I didn't know that book was going to be published. They gave me money. I just did.
Okay, so he claims there that he never read the book, right? But then he claims that they gave him a script in order to do these interviews. He claims he was given a script when he did the proffer agreement, right? Wouldn't you need to read, wouldn't the best script for you to make sure that you are going by what's in the book be to read the book, right? But he's claiming he didn't read the book. He doesn't know what's in the book. But much of how Keffe D interviews in the events detailed in the book almost mimic verbatim. Almost mimic verbatim. That means that the language that he even uses to describe events that took place in the book match exactly what's in the book. So for him to claim that he never read the book, that would further imply to me, if he's telling the truth, that he is the one who provided the content of the book, because the content of the book match exactly to things that he has said in his interviews about the series of events that took place. He is about to say something where I'm going to point to you is mimicking verbatim what he put in the book outside of one word. He adds a word, right? but it mimics exactly what he says in the book in the final chapter. Just let's continue to listen.
Money, I would. That's gonna prove that I wasn't in. That was no. Why would I? September the 7th. You know what I'm saying? Why would I wear a suit, overcoat, and a hat? And you can check out. It was 100 some, probably 100 some degrees on September the 7th. So think about it. Why would I wear that? Orlando, he's a magician or something. He can change his clothes that quick. Come on now.
So if you
That
didn't,
was on New Year's Eve.
if you
He
were,
think that's the smoking gun, y'all.
We're gonna have somebody come and tell you
He think the smoking gun is his outfit, his attire.
Fight.
And that picture.
if you weren't there that night, how did you know the details to write about in this
did
book?
not write that
Or where did
book.
these
Okay.
vivid details
you
come?
ask me one more time about on the end of the interview, I swear.
Okay.
You ask me one more time.
So look, he said, if you ask me one more time about that, I'm going to end the interview because he's getting aggravated. She's not buying his story. She wants him to buy into that he didn't write that book. That's why he keeps smirking. He keeps re-emphasizing the thing about his attire and how it wouldn't have been appropriate for that time of year. All of these things he's trying to convince her, but he realized because she keeps asking that he's not convincing her. And so if he's not convincing her, he might more than likely might not be convincing anyone else. And so he threatens to end the interview if she doesn't stop asking him about that.
We're not here to talk about that book. I'm here to tell you how my family's life is in danger. I'm here to tell you about there's a bunch of lies going on. I'm not here to talk about that book. It's like a gag order on that type of stuff anyway. You know what I'm saying?
So did y'all hear what he said? It's a gag order on this type of stuff anyway. If it's a gag order, which I don't know if there is or not, because I didn't see anything updated or anything said. His attorney has been going out and speaking to all over everywhere. I posted several interviews. So I'm not certain if it's a gag order or not, according to what he is saying. I don't know if he means that his attorney told him not to talk about that thing. So he's interpreting that as being some type of gag order to not speak about that. But he's actually speaking about it. He's been speaking about it everywhere that he goes. And so to insinuate that this book is off limits because it's a gag order as it relates to the contents of that book, where it's something public that everybody can access, can listen to, can read, can purchase. Like, it's crazy. But it should be a gag order on him, period. He shouldn't be able to talk anymore because he's hurting his own case. But I don't know. I didn't hear anything about a gag order. I think he may be interpreting maybe his attorney telling him, listen, you got to stop talking about certain things. He might interpret that as some type of, I didn't see or hear of anything through the courts where a gag order has been put in place on certain things. Now, I could be wrong. I could be missing something. If I am, somebody correct me and let me know. I haven't heard anything, though. No updates about that.
A lot of the stuff that's been a judge ruled that the 2008 police interview can be used against you. I noticed in court you were very upset when that judge denied your defense's motion. What was your reaction? What was going through your head a couple of weeks ago in court?
What's going through my head? She acted like she was there. She wasn't there. She acted like she was there. She was in junior high school or something. She wasn't there.
So he's pissed because he feels like you said if his family is in danger, he needs to get on the line with it. Exactly, Just B. Exactly. Not with this lady. Not with this lady at Fox 5 Las Vegas News, right? He needs to call the authorities, call someone. He needs to call Big Crum, Al Sharpton, who else? Colin Kaepernick. Call some of those people and see if they gonna come help you. I don't think that this lady is going to be able to help him if his family is in danger. Okay. especially when there is an allegation that his son and I guess some of his son's entourage attempted to do things to try to get rid of some of the witnesses in this case. That is the accusation. So now all of a sudden, this is why his family is in danger. The same way he was in danger. I don't understand why you don't understand this. Keffe D was in danger of going to jail for selling drugs. So he had to admit to this unaliving of Tupac so that he wouldn't be in danger of going to jail for selling drugs that he was actually selling, right? So we have to look from his perspective and how this man views danger, right? How he views what's dangerous to him and his family. So the police and the detectives right, exactly. Why didn't you understand that? We got to look at this through his lens, through his eyes, right? We are under his microscope, looking under his microscope right now, what he's looking at, right? So he's considering that this man's testimony is dangerous to his family because this man's testimony is going to provide evidence that will place him in Las Vegas and will provide some kind of clues as to him having something to do with the unaliving of Tupac Shakur, right? And so that is dangerous to Keffe D and his family. So as a result, his son is now being accused of attempting to try to do something to harm this man to prevent him from testifying. And Keffe is now flipping it around and saying, no, this man is dangerous to me. This man is dangerous to me and my family, right? Now you understand? You say Keffe needs to understand that I'm slow. See, now you get it. See, I made it all connect together, right? So you just needed a little bit of interpretation, Just V. That's all, right? So Keffe is saying that this man, he is a killer. He's willing to take money from the government and admit to things that Keffe alleges aren't true. And those things are dangerous to me and my family. And now they are saying that my son attempted to try to do something to this man, but it's the other way around. This man is more dangerous to me and my family than I could ever be to him because the government allows him to kill people for free. And then he plays them by telling them fake stories and getting money. Kind of like what Keffe is alleging that he did, right? That's what he's trying to tell us that he did. That's his defense, that he told the government some stories, some fake stories, so that he could get out of a crime that he actually committed. And now he wants us to believe that he didn't actually commit the crime he admitted to because he was only doing that to finesse the government. And maybe there was some kind of payment. I mean, he's saying his homeboy got a payment, but even if it wasn't a payment that Keffe D received from the government, trust and believe he got payment through all of these interviews he's been doing, in addition to that book he's been selling. So birds of a feather flock together, right? You are one and of the same. And so now he wants it to be known that this man is a threat to me and my family because he is threatening to go testify about something that I didn't do to get out of something that I'm saying I didn't do now. But I did once say I did it in order for me to get out of something that I definitely did. That's the interpretation of that.
She was in like high school, you know.
Do you regret giving that 2008 interview? Do you regret giving that 2008 interview to police?
You know, to me, I saved 48 people from being federated.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta stop.
700, 800 years.
He stopped. Now, remember I told you he's going to say something that he said almost verbatim in the book in that final chapter in chapter 17? He stopped 48 people from being federated. Federated. Exactly. Federated, right? He stopped 48 people from being federated, right? And you spelled it correctly, okay? You spelled it correctly. So more than federated is a group of people that are usually joined together for some type of common purpose. It normally has to do with some type of political thing, right? You say, is that when you join the Confederacy? No, 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 no. The word federated is like a group of organization or like a system of people that join together that have some type of common purpose. It normally has something to do with like a policy, effort, or something of that nature, but it could be other things. You can use that word federated as a to talk about the joining of other things, right? But I don't think that that's what this means in this context, right? I don't think so. I was thinking, like, okay, well, what could Keffe be trying to say? And his composition of words and putting words and merging words together. Maybe he meant federally rated. Maybe he meant federal. I stopped 48 people from being federally rated, right? He said, I don't think it was a real word, but I just looked it up. Yes, it is a real word. But I think that he just was merging some ideas, thought some things together. And I'm like, okay, what could he have been trying to say instead of federated, right? Because I'm not connecting federated to what he's describing here, right? So I think he might have been. You said he's talking about being arrested by the exactly right. So he might have said he might have meant to say I stopped 48 people from being federally raided, right? And then those raids probably would have led to arrests. Y'all stop making me laugh. I'm trying to be serious, y'all, because I'm trying to interpret what this man is thinking, y'all. I cannot laugh with y'all. I have to pay attention, okay? So maybe he meant that he stopped 48 people from being federally raided, and those federal raids would have led to some federal arrest, right? And so he saved their life. He saved these people's lives. That's what he's trying to tell. He's trying to tell you that he is a hometown hero. He is a hometown hero because he stopped 48 people from being federally raided that could have led to them being in federal indictments. Right? So that's what he really meant to say. Okay, you guys, I'm interpreting. I'm his interpreter. So maybe they need me. You know, like they need interpreters to interpret sign language and Spanish and Portuguese and Mandarin and all of those languages. Maybe if he's going to testify, maybe they need me to come and help so that I can interpret what he's trying to say. You said that is like, oh, this is what R. Kelly needed. Right. So he stopped 48 people from being federally raided, which could have led to federal indictments. And so instead of spelling federated, Federated, which is the way you spell what I defined for you guys earlier, maybe he's spelling it Federaid, federated, because he done merged some ideas and thoughts and he made a whole new word, right? So maybe that's what he was trying to. He stopped them from being federated. It's a new word, y'all. Look it up. I don't know. He made it up, right? But he stopped these people from being federally raided, and which could have led to federal indictments, and then they all would be potentially sitting in jail. He was able to single-handedly stop that from happening by admitting to the unaliving of Tupac Shakur. You understand? Like, do you understand? By him admitting to the unaliving of Tupac Shakur, he saved 48 lives that day. He is a hometown hero. Okay? Let's continue.
And my lawyer gave me a script to read. He said, this is the only way you're going home. And I just came back and read the script. And he told me we practiced that stuff before they even came to his office. And she said, the judge said that was at a federal building. That wasn't at no federal building. That was at the lawyer's office. They act like they know everything. They don't know nothing. They wasn't there.
And you didn't know.
There. The judge wasn't there. The DA wasn't there. They act like they know everything. They wasn't there. It was at a lawyer's office. It was at a federal building, so that's covered. No, it wasn't at no federal building. It was at my lawyer's office.
And you didn't know that interview was going to be recorded?
Not at all. They don't record. They do not record. It's the 302, and that dude did that just to make money. My lawyer, they gave me 2 months to come back with my decision. It was going to take 40-some people to jail. And he said, this is the only way you're going home. He gave me a script to read, and I just came and read that script. So that's what happened. And then she said it was at a federal building. That's why it's covered, baby. It wasn't at no federal building. It was at my lawyer's office.
You were
like she was there. She wasn't there. Well, Giacomo wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, this place is Jim Crow. They don't have no
wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute. This is it. Okay, so did y'all hear what he said? Okay, so he's mad because he said that the judge is acting like she wasn't there. She was all somewhere just getting in high school. She ain't had no clue, nothing what was going on. But she tried to add her 2 cents, acting like she was there. She know what happened. And so he's basically saying that she's allowing the interview that he did with the proffer to be admitted into evidence because he's saying that she said, we haven't seen the transcripts yet, you guys. I'm waiting for AV to get a hold of the paperwork so I can post it. So she's probably going to read that. But he's saying, I guess, in one of the hearings that he's had in the last couple of days, that the reason the judge allowed to admit that proffer into evidence with Greg Caden is because he's saying that she said it was done at a federal building, so that's why she's allowing it to be admitted into evidence. This is his interpretation. I'm not saying this is what it is. This is what he's interpreting, right? So he's saying she's wrong. She wasn't there. How can she try to tell him where he gave this statement? Because he gave this statement at his lawyer's office. He didn't give this statement at a federal building. And so she thinks she knows everything when she doesn't know what happened because she wasn't there. And he didn't offer up his statement at a federal building. He offered up his statement at his attorney's office based on an alleged script that his attorney gave him. Now, this is going back to the time of the proffer in 2008, right? So we got these events like are all over the place, but it is a timeline, right? So Tupac is unalived in 96. And then Keffe D takes this proffer in 2008. He writes this book in 2019. As a result, he goes all over the internet doing all of these interviews, offering up new information, confirming old information, and then this leads to his arrest, right? And so there were things that were confiscated through several different raids of Keffe D's dwellings over the years as a result. And so there's lots of evidence in this case because some of the evidence is coming from when he gave a proffer in 2008. Some of the evidence was collected in 1996. And then we have some recent evidence from 2023 from when his house was raided, right? So you have evidence that is going to be presented that is going to be over a long span of time, right? But basically, Keffe is saying that this proffer agreement did not take place at the police headquarters. It didn't take place at any federal building, that it took place at his attorney's office. Keffe is alleging that he was handed a script to go by, things that he was supposed to say and agree to. And by doing that, he was able to get 48 criminals, right, off of being federally raided, right, that could have led to other federal indictments. But mind you, these indictments would have probably ended up coming down on him more than a lot of people because this was a result of organized criminal activities that Keffe D was at the head of and responsible for. Okay? So that's why they pulled him in there. They pulled him in there because these 48 people that he's alleging that he saved, he was at the top of a criminal organization, a criminal enterprise, according to him. Because right now we don't know all of the terms of the proffer, right? We're gonna find that out hopefully in trial. But according to him, he was at the top of this organization. So he's saying that he fell on the sword. Now, when most people fall on the sword, you guys, in these type of instances, you say Keffe D, call it a Keffe D whisperer. Right, exactly. Just be. When most people fall on the sword in these kind of instances, they just tell on themselves and go to jail, right? They tell on themselves and go to jail. They take responsibility for the whole thing and they just go to jail. But Keffe D's idea of falling on the sword is confessing to the unaliving of Tupac, even though now he's saying he didn't do it. Even though now he's saying he wasn't even in Vegas to do it. He wasn't even at the fight to do such a thing. Right? That's what he's saying. Despite the fact that he's went across all of these platforms, all over social media, made all of this money off of people, was about to sell WAC 100 the rights to his life story, you know, all of that, forget all of that. He didn't do it. He was not there. And he only said this to save the lives of 48 criminals who were involved in criminal activity in his criminal enterprise.
Office, Vegas is a monopoly of people. You got blacks, Hispanics, whites. You got Mormons.
Oh, I stopped it. Wait a minute. Okay, so what he's describing right now, y'all, he's pissed because he said it's Jim Crow going on in that DA's office, y'all. I forgot to tell you that. That's what I wanted to tell y'all. So Keffe D is saying it's Jim Crow going over in that DA's office, and them having that Indian man Jigakomomo or whatever his name is. I'm gonna get his name right, y'all. As soon as I phonetically hear somebody say it, I'm gonna get it right. But Jigakomomo, the lead prosecutor, he's saying that he's basically blackface. They didn't put blackface on him in that DA's office because he's the only person of color that's in that DA's office. So that's why they put him out in the front. They put him out in the front because they put him out like blackface. And that this DA's office is Jim Crow. You said, well, maybe if it's black to back, his trial may be delayed. You said, well, maybe if it's blacks to the back, his trial might be delayed. Shut up. He was trying to get a delay, you guys, because he said finally he got the money to post the bond. So this week, he had his attorney file a motion to try to delay his trial some more. I guess so he could be out sometime and, enjoy his money that he paid to be off bond some more time. He asked for a delay. And the judge told him, like, absolutely not. You can post bond, but know that you're only going to be out until... you said how much is his... But I can't remember how much. But remember we watched that hearing with WAC 100... excuse me, where WAC was trying to post that bond and was telling all them lies to the court and shit. That messed up his first attempt at trying to get out, right? He thought for sure he was getting bonded out right then. But that fell through. That didn't work. And it had to do because WAC was paying his bond with money from an entertainment company in order to own the rights to Keffe D's life story. A life story which would include the events that happened the fateful night of Tupac's unaliving. And that is something that the judge placed on the bond conditions that he could not profit in any way off of that. And so by connecting that bond money to those events, the judge did not WAC to be able to post that bond for him. And in addition to that, there were 2 other hearings held where the judge was trying to investigate where this money was coming from. You said it's $750K. Okay, yeah. So I don't know how much of it is that the total of the bail? So then his bond is 10% of that, I assume. And I guess that's supposedly what he was going to be paid by this entertainment company that WAC was going to be playing as the front man for. The entertainment company was going to actually be the ones paying the money to post Keffe D's bond, but WAC was playing the front person for it. The problem is that WAC's finances didn't coincide with someone who could put that amount up. And when he handed over his finances, they saw this transfer of funds from this entertainment company. And this is where he starts to get caught. You said, yeah, probably, yeah. This is where they start to get caught up in their story, right? So WAC initially was supposed to be just posting this money as Keffe being a friend to the family to help him out, because he cared about him. Just saying, like, just because you did something and I'm going to come and I'm going to get him the money so you can get out. But no, it was a whole deal behind this. They discussed the deal on a jail call. WAC discussed the deal on Vlad interviews. Like, it was a perfect recipe to set yourself up and be denied. Okay? That's exactly what happened. The perfect recipe that set your ass up and you were denied. So now Keffe is claiming that this prosecutor's office is Jim Crow. That's what he said. They are Jim Crow. And what he means by that is that there are no people of color in that prosecutor's office other than this. I don't know that to be true. I'm telling y'all what he's saying now. Other than Giacomo, the lead prosecutor, he is Indian according to Keffe D, and that is the reason they put him as the front in this case, because they are using him like blackface. This is what Keffe D is saying, y'all.
The office consists of that type of atmosphere. It should be, but it's all whites. It's no, and they're using what's the name? That Indian man that's blackface. They're using him as blackface. You know what I'm saying? It should be a makeup of the people that the community is, but it's all white people. You know what I'm saying? This stuff out here is Jim Crow, and it's crazy.
You were promised.
He get worked up now.
In the 2008 interview, you were promised immunity. Were you under the impression that that would also protect you?
I'm not sure. Should be not talking about that. I told you. You know what I'm saying? I wish we could have came and did it face to face meeting.
So y'all, he said he can't talk about that immunity. He been all over everywhere talking about that immunity, talking about that profit, talking about what he think is not right about it. But now he can't talk about that. And he wished that she would have been able to come and do a face-to-face interview like the other nice young lady came and did a face-to-face interview with him instead of them having to talk over this phone like this. He doesn't like that, y'all.
Like the other lady did.
Would you have still answered my questions if I was there face to face?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the best we could do at this moment before.
But like I say, they don't have no black people in there. No blacks. They don't got no Hispanics, no Filipinos. It's all white people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna get a fair trial because the DA, every time I go to court, he goes out in front of the thing and do his little speeches. He tainting the jury pool.
Y'all, we got it. We finally got it. He's tainting the jury pool. Exactly. This all nuts and crazy as hell. Okay. So we finally got it. Keffe D is saying that the DA is tainting the jury pool. So earlier this week, I posted an interview where Michael Sanders, Keffe D's new attorney, right, just me, right, where he basically said that he didn't want his statements and his interviews that he's been doing on behalf of his client to advocate on behalf of his client to be taken as his attempt to try to taint the jury pool, right? Well, now we have Keffe D telling this nice young woman that he believes that, the DA is attempting to taint the jury pool because every time they get out of court, he's going in front of the media and he's going, right? But I told you, this is the thing that pisses me off so bad. Why does he think it's okay for him to be talking, having this interview, saying the things that he's saying and putting out what he's putting out? But then the DA's office should not have that same opportunity to do the same. And this is often the position of the defense. Like they want to provide us with this narrative that the prosecution is doing things in order to try to hinder their case, right? But they go and do things that do the opposite, that they think is helping their case. But a lot of times, I'm sorry, the stuff that they do hurts their case more than it helps it, in my opinion. They think that they are helping the case. But a lot of times, the things that the defense attorneys in these high profile cases have gone to the public and have done, it has hurt their case. I'm sorry. In my opinion, what I've seen, but they think it's helping, right? And so they think that it's okay. It's okay for Sanders to go out to do these interviews. It's okay for Keffe to keep having these people coming to the jail or come visit at the jail, him setting up all of these interviews in jail for him to discuss and try to present his case to the public and his pleas to the public. But it's not okay for the state to do the same. They want a one-way gag order, right? And this is why in the Little Dirk trial, which we talked about, we're going to be discussing as well. And I told you we're going to be reading the book Evil Twins to lay some foundation, which is a book about the relationship between Little Dirk and King Von, right? So, but we are going to, but the reason, this is one of the main reasons why I think that the prosecutors in the Little Dirk case was willing to forego some of their rights to speak in order to stop the speech of the defense. Because this is oftentimes, this is how a lot of people in our community view it. This is how a lot of defendants view it. A lot of defense attorneys present it because they know that it appeals to the public. They think they should have all the rights to speak and say what they want to say. But the minute that the prosecutors come out and reveal a piece of evidence, the minute that they come out and they discuss something, they provide some type of narrative to the public, then they are attempting to do something criminal. They'll call it criminal and tainting the jury pool. In all actuality, y'all are doing the same thing. But when it's done by the defense, it's like I'm advocating for my client, right? It's different. It's different language. And all I'm saying is, whatever it is, let's be consistent about how we talk about it. If it's tainting the jury when the prosecutors do it, then it's tainting the jury when the defense does it. Point blank, period. If it's advocating for your client when the defense does it, then the prosecutors are advocating for victims. Let's use the same language across the board rather than using one set of language when it comes to one side and a whole nother set of language when it comes to the other side that makes it look like the other side is doing something so egregious, right? That's what I don't like about it. That's what I don't like about how they discuss this. But Keffe believes that the DA is trying to attempt to taint the jury pool. And my question becomes, well, what are you doing here? What are you doing in these last-ditch efforts, coming to the public, trying to talk to the public now? What are you doing?
You know what I'm saying? It's wrong. You know, I'm not worried. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, the Lord got my back. I survived cancer and all that type of stuff. And I survived the streets. And the Lord got my back. So I'm not worried about it. And that picture was January the 1st, 1998 at the Sheraton Hotel. Why would I wear a overcoat with a suit in September in Las Vegas?
So your trial starts Monday here in Las Vegas, miles away from where Tupac was shot. What do you want the jury to know about you before they walk into that courtroom?
That I didn't do it and I'm an innocent man. And my nephew didn't do it either. He was at the hospital when they pulled up. My nephew was at the hospital when they pulled up. He didn't do it. They gave me a script to read in order to go home. My lawyer said, this is the only way you're going home.
Okay, so you guys, that is potentially something that could work in his favor. If they have something that can prove that Baby Lane was at the hospital at the time of the shooting, that is evidence. And that is something that they should be able to go back and get in order to present to the jury, right? And that is something that I think that would be made admissible to the court, because if Baby Lane, he was attacked that night, right? That's the story, that he was attacked. And so because of that attack, if he was at the hospital, that might exclude Baby Lane. This is my issue with this story, right? Just because we can exclude Baby Lane does not mean we can exclude Keffe D. The story that Keffe D is telling might not be the story and series of events of things that actually happened. That might be the narrative in the story that they are going with in order to have kept other people out of the narrative. In order to keep it not a what? Conspiracy. Right? And that this was something pre-planned. It's very well possible that Baby Lane was at the hospital and that Keffe D could have still, and who was in the car, the people who were there might have been fabricated. I don't know. I sat here and tried to think about some of the things that I've heard people say in relation to what their theories are about that night. And the problem I have with it is it leaves too many things to chance, right? So we have one narrative that says that Puff orchestrated this. We have one side of people on another side of the coast, right? On the East Coast, over here on the East Coast, that say that Puff orchestrated this whole event. Well, one of the problems with Puff orchestrating the event is, how did it just so happen that Baby Lane ends up in this physical altercation with Tupac that night, right? That you would be counting on too many things to happen to make this happen, right? And so I was trying to think of what is a narrative where Baby Lane could have been used in order to start this theory, this conspiracy, right? This elaborate plan to unalive Tupac Shakur. Too many things would have had to fall into place. The only thing that I can think of, you guys, that would put it in a situation where this altercation took place between Tupac and Suge, because Suge joins in, several other individuals join in on the beating of Baby Lane at the time of that happening. The only way I can see this happening is if they had some cooperation with somebody from Suge Knight in his own camp. Because they were the ones who were in the vicinity when the fight took place. And that would mean that Baby Lane would have had to been in some type of coordination with some of the people from Suge Knight's camp. Because I'm trying to think of how this all works, that you have these all events unfold that ends up being this whole orchestrated plan, right? And so Baby Lane would have had to been in some type of coordination, or Baby Lane Keffe D, or Baby Lane Von Zip and Keffe D, or whoever, whatever the combination is, right? They would have had to have been in some kind of coordination with some of the people from Suge's camp in order to be able to know or be able to set the scene for a reaction for Tupac to jump at Baby Lane when Baby Lane approaches him. Only the people in Tupac's camp with Suge Knight that night would be able to instigate such an altercation to occur. It would not have been able to occur without some cooperation from them if this was a plan. Now, if it just happened, then I believe that it happened exactly like Keffe D says it in the book. But if you are trying to say that something was coordinated by all of these outside people that ended up having all of these things happen, how do you get to that? And in my opinion, the only way you get to that, if there is some type of coordination between Von Zip, Keffe D, Baby Lane, and people in the Suge Knight camp. Because they were the ones who were in Tupac's circumference, who could have instigated a fight and gotten Tupac to react in a physical altercation. Was Baby Lane sent to approach Tupac in order to have that altercation happen so that that could be the smoke and mirrors for whatever people are saying the theory is? I guess it's possible. But to me, that's too many things left to chance. I'm sorry. But going back to what Keffe D just said, if there are some kind of records that exist that show that Baby Lane was at the hospital during the time of the shooting, then that gives one out. That gives one out, right? The fact that Baby Lane's arm was in a sling, because a lot of people try to use that shit don't mean nothing. They'll put your arm in a sling if you go in there and saying some shit hurt. They don't see nothing on the x-ray, but you complaining about it hurting. The emergency room is going to do that in order to try to make sure that you have some support, that you're protected or whatever, because you might have some contusion, you might have some swelling of the tissue or whatever. So they're gonna have you have that sling on to remind you to not use that arm, let it to rest. A sling can mean multiple things. It does not mean that there's some type of major injury that occurred. Now, I don't know what the injuries or all of the injuries that Baby Lane claims what happened that night, but I do know what people claim when they get into a car accident. They be claiming injuries that ain't fucking true. And so Baby Lane could have went up in that hospital that night making that same damn lie. So people trying to use the idea that his arm was in the sling, so how could he shoot from one side? That shit don't mean nothing. The same way how a person who get in a car accident goes into the hospital, they feel their neck is broke, their leg is broke, the hip is broke, they got a concussion, and then they go and they ride a motorcycle the next day. That's the same way. The same exact way that happens. That's the same exact way Baby Lane could have did, because he could have saw that as an opportunity to try to get money off the Tupac and Death Row, which he did. He did try to get money off of them. He didn't quite make it to live to see trying to really get that money like that. Okay? But he did try to get that money. So we don't know the extent of Baby Lane's injuries or what really happened, if he was really as injured as he says at all, because I can compare that to somebody who has a car accident. They see an opportunity for them to make some money and they are going to go all the way with it. Okay?
When they came in that building that morning, I had been there an hour there rehearsing what to say to go home. They said they don't want you, they want Buff Daddy. So he gave me a script to read, and he gave me a code word to say to them when they came in. And I said the code word, letting them know that I was down with it.
Okay, so you hear what he said? He said they don't want you, they want Puff Daddy. And the main reason is because Keffe D has said in multiple interviews, he said it in the book too, that he felt like that their investigation into what happened to Tupac has some kind of connection to them really trying to say what happened to Biggie. They weren't really overly concerned about what took place with Tupac. They really didn't care about that. That's his interpretation of what he feels in the line of questioning when at the time of him being questioned by authorities, right? He doesn't feel like they were overly concerned really about the unaliving of Tupac, that they wanted to get Puff for what they think happened with Biggie. And they felt like that the Tupac unaliving had some connection to that.
And they already were pre-planning this stuff because they had his murder book there, Tupac's murder book there. All was framed and set up.
Puffy's name is mentioned.
They let a guy kill 3 people at a Lamourado Mall. I mean, at a Starbucks. Put him in the trunk. Then he came and brought drugs for me. You know what I'm saying? They let him go. His name Devontae Lee. They let him go. You know what I'm saying? 3 people.
Well, we only have a few minutes left.
He buy drugs from me. He's supposed to be one of their star witnesses. And it's wrong.
Mr. Davis, Puffy's name is brought up a lot through the book. Can you talk to me about the relationship between Puffy and Tupac back in the day?
I don't really know. I wasn't there. You know? Like I said, my lawyer gave me a script that he said, you can save all your friends and your family. And I came and read that script to them in 2008. They after they left, he high fived me and everything. I told you, big dog. You know, they knew that lawyer knew me because they came in my garage one morning. That morning and said, if you hire Edie Fall, then we got to take you to jail. They told me what lawyer to hire and everything. Dude had a motive.
This is all of things that he says in the book. These are all of things that he says in these interviews. He is repeating these things verbatim, which means they are either committed to his memory as because they are actual memories, or these are lies that he's committed to memory. One way or the other, according to what he's saying. But these are things committed to his memory. And so these are some of the slip or sleight of the hand of the tongue, I guess we would say, because the sleight of the hand is normally what we say in writing, right? But this is kind of like a sleight of the tongue in Keffe D telling us that he wrote this shit because it matches up with what he's saying in the book. He either has committed these to memory because they were actual events that took place, or he committed it to memory because these are lies that he made up. Not because this is something that was told to someone else. By someone else.
Make money this whole time. His name Greg Caden. He had a motive to make money the whole time.
Did that really anger you when you found out that the recording you gave has been released and Detective Kading has been broadcasting about it?
Yeah. He put my life in danger, put my whole family's life in danger. And they came and asked me, do I want to be in a witness protection program? I'm like, no, you know. They like protect your family at all costs.
After this is all over, how would you want to be remembered?
As a good man and a good father. And, you know, and it's wrong, you know what I'm saying? They got an innocent man in jail. All they had to do was just put a lie detector on me, and I would have passed with flying colors. I ain't killed nobody. My nephew ain't killed nobody. They had a script already ready, you know what I'm saying? And that guy, he's the worstest person on earth. Go around, kill people. The guy, Devontae Lee, he can go around, kill people. You know what I'm saying? Then they said my son put a hit out on him and $5,000. My son can't put a hit out on a goldfish. That is wrong. They gave him $5,000 to move. My son ain't going near nobody that's going to kill somebody and get away with it for free.
If you're saying that you didn't do it, Orlando didn't do it, who did it?
To me, I think Reggie Wright did it because he on all them lies. He get on the internet and just go crazy every day. What? I set Keffe D up. I set him up. Stuff like that. Then he told my son threatened his life. And he said, yo, daddy, you know how my trigger finger is? Oh, that's why he's suffering from COVID right now. He came and wiped his butt. You know what I'm saying? He came and feed himself.
Listen, you guys, that's what I'm saying. All of these statements that Keffe D is making is consistent with his tone throughout the book, with his tone, especially in chapter 17, where he creates all of this condemnation and desolation on his enemies that he feel like are snitching on him, telling on him, didn't have his back, didn't properly reimburse him for things that he felt justified that he should have been paid for doing. Like, this is the type of venom that he gives to his enemies. And so listen to what he's saying about Reggie right now. About him having COVID, and this is why he's in a situation. Like, this is God's wrath. Like, God is exacting his wrath on him for what he has done to him, to Keffe D. Forget about where you at, why you sitting where you at, how you got out of sitting where you were. None of those rules apply to him, but it applies to everyone else in this story but him. Right? So Reggie now is struck with COVID and bedridden because he and all of his wrongdoing towards Keffe D and Keffe D's family.
That's why he's suffering from COVID right now. I survived cancer. If I was a bad person, the Lord would have took me out. You know what I'm saying? The Lord would have took me out. I'm not worried about these people.
And listen, this is something that criminals always try to say, strike me dead. He would have took me out. All this. No. Let's go back to the story of Cain and Abel. God didn't kill Cain. God sent Cain out with a scarlet letter. That scarlet letter meant don't nobody touch him, but he is banished. He is sent into desolation. He is an abomination for his crime, right? But you better not touch him. So the idea that people think, oh, if I would have did X, Y, and Z, I would have been dead. God would have struck me dead. No, sometimes God leaves you cursed on this earth to walk this earth. We have a biblical story that confirms that, since everybody likes to use the Bible in order to say and present something in order to justify what they do. Well, the Bible justifies why you would be sitting incarcerated right now and then survive about 4 or 5 bouts of cancer, because you are cursed, sir. You could be cursed. That could be the answer. Now you being struck dead, you could be cursed as a result of your crime and wrongdoing.
Because I understand through God's hands, I understand tall through it all. You know what I'm saying?
We've got 3 minutes left. It's going to be 30 years since Tupac Shakur was murdered here in Las Vegas. Does his family deserve the truth?
Yeah, his family do. And it's going to come out. The interviews, I was paid to say that stuff.
You're saying the truth will come out in trial?
Yeah, not trial. It's gonna come out once it. If I lose, I'm gonna send my stuff to a bigger court.
So you plan on fighting this till the very, very end?
To the very, very end, and I feel I'm gonna win because they don't have no evidence. They don't came. I'm not in. I wasn't even in Las Vegas, so I'm not worried about them. They little Mark Giacomo, he can say all that stuff he want. All he do is tell lies. Just like last week, Agent Tolliver, ain't such agents, ain't such person. Agent Tolliver, Agent Tolliver. I ain't never heard of no Agent Tolliver. Ain't no FBI agent, ain't no Tolliver. He just says he tell a lot of lies. They using that Indian man that like he black face. You're not black. He's a gang expert and a hip hop expert. He's an Indian. He's not black. They use him as black face, and it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Just a DA office should be made up of the community. They should have some blacks in there. They should have some Latinos. They should have some Filipinos. You know what I'm saying? But they don't. All they got is, you know what I'm saying? And it's wrong.
So are you saying that you're being targeted?
Just like January 2024, he get on the front of the newspaper, in front of the TV, the rest of the year. Steve Wolfson, the rest of the year. He's taking the jury pool. You know what I'm saying? And it's wrong.
Well, we got 1 minute left. Anything else that you want to add, Mr. Davis?
No, but I'm an innocent man, and the Lord's gonna set me free. Like that Devontae Lee, he's just scum of the earth. He kills people. He go around snitching on people, setting people up and stuff like that. Then he pays them out of $5,000. You know what I'm saying? You heard him the other day. He get on TV and do an interview. Woo, 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 woo. What's the man? The Indian man. I asked him his name before. I ain't got to tell you, young man. Sir, I ain't got to tell you. That's not professional. You know what I'm saying? All I asked him was his name.
Do you want to test? Do you plan on testifying? Do you want?
If I have to, I will.
See, up. There we go.
Right,
There we go. So That's the part I wanted us to get to the end because that's my favorite part. If I had to, now we didn't heard all since the last couple of weeks. He is not gonna testify. I told y'all we're not getting away without a Keffe D testimony. It is nothing that anybody that they put on that stand is going to be able to say that it's going to satisfy Keffe D in his defense. We are going to get a Keffe D testimony, okay? We are going to. I'm telling you, even if the lawyer can try to have some reins on him when he asks the question, he's going to mess that up in front of the judge because the judge is going to have to confirm with him. You were counseled by your attorney, but this is your decision. You're choosing to not testify, and he's going to mess up that line of questioning. And as a result, Keffe D is going to be on the stand. And that's even if he can make it to that point. We might just right out in the middle of the trial find out that he's going to testify. That attorney better have been prepping him for testimony. You say he's going to have outbursts. They are going to have to him and punish him. And exactly. I was thinking that too. I was just about to say that, Just Be. That is so crazy. I was getting ready to say they might have to have a separate courtroom reserved for him to be in, because you're right. I mean, when you look at his son, because apparently it must have been a clip that was sent out when they were questioning his son in the last few days about this alleged thing that he was trying to do to Devontae. I said Dante. I guess his name Devontae, not Dante. So to Devontae, right? His son was being questioned in court about it. Keffe was like, he was about to jump over the little bit, the side where they got the prisoner sitting in. He was like, he was about to jump up over there. Thank God they had the handcuffs and shackles and stuff on him, but he's not going to be able to contain himself. He's not going to be able to contain himself as these people are testifying. He is outraged that this is even happening. Keffe D believes he is an innocent man. And I think the one thing that, as the public, if we are all honest with ourselves, is this. Even if you feel like Keffe D did not actually do this unaliving of Tupac Shakur, and that somehow he just agreed to it because the feds came up with some kind of great elaborate scheme to make this man whose nephew was assaulted, the feds knew his nephew was going to be assaulted by Tupac and Suge and some of the other death row members. He knew that was going to happen that night. Now, and this is what I mean by too many things happening by happenstance, right? In order for them to try to say that they believe that this was something that was done by the authorities, and I'm not saying that it wasn't, it's too many components that have to be put into play. But a part of that component has to include Baby Lane, at least. A part of that has to include Baby Lane, because Baby Lane is the one who approached Tupac and Suge Knight that night, and that's how the fight started. You said he did it to avoid the federation, the federated, just be federated, right? So, I mean, I don't think that's the case. In my mind, I think this was an organic set of events. I don't even know if Puff had anything to do with the way that they trying to connect all of that in. But if it did, then that means that Baby Lane had to be a part of this plot. Because it's not by it wasn't just a coincidence that Baby Lane ends up with in this fight. That night that Tupac ends up dead. So if you're saying that this was something that was orchestrated, how does Baby Lane and him approaching Tupac fall into the orchestration of the crime? Because in my mind, it would have to. It leaves too many things up to coincidence, right? But say they gave him this script and told him to say all of this stuff, right? Well, the problem, like I said, would be all of these connections. How do you get down to all of these connections? And at the end of the day, if Keffe D didn't do it, I think he knows something about how it was put together. If he wasn't there, I think he knows something about how it was all put together based on his description of him and his relationship with Baby Lane. I don't think he would have sent Baby Lane on some kind of expedition without him being in close proximity to respond in case something happens. It just doesn't sound right to me. And so, was this incident and this altercation between Tupac, Suge, and Death Row and Baby Lane part of the conspiracy? Did Baby Lane say something that provoked a reaction from Tupac? Was that when he was sent there to do? That's what, in my opinion, would have to have happened in order to make what everybody else is saying true in connection to this story. But what they expect is that the authorities knew that Baby Lane was going to approach them that night. They knew that it was going to be a physical altercation that was going to happen between all those people that night. And then they were going to seize on the opportunity to get rid of Tupac in those immediate minutes. Like, they came up with this. If you're saying that this is something that was hatched by the government, this is something that was hatched by some crooked cops, all this, you need too many things for them to put together in such short period of time. You said he did it to. I read that part already. Yeah. So I don't know. But we are going to get a testimony from Keffe D. I'm telling y'all, he is not going to allow the case of the century. He keep talking about, they went out there and when they handed down the indictment, talking about this the case of the century. That's what Keffe D told the cops on the webcam. On the webcam, when the cop asked Keffe D, what did they get him for? Because the cop was acting like he didn't know why he was coming there to pick him up. And he's asking Keffe D, what did they get you for? Keffe D refers to this as this is one of the biggest cases of the century. He's using those words to describe it, but he's mad that the state and the government, the prosecutors, the DA, that all of these other people describe it as that, but he described it as that when he was sitting in a police car on the webcam. So listen, you guys, we are not leaving this without a Keffe D testimony. We just got a couple of more seconds of this, and then I got a couple of other things I want us to take a look at.
I'm an innocent man. That's all I can tell you. I'm an innocent man, and the Lord will set me free. And if I don't win in this court, I will win at the next level.
All right. So he says if he doesn't win at this court, he is going to win at the next level. Now, I will not be surprised if we don't get some more interviews from Keffe D in the next few days. His willingness to talk to anyone is apparent, okay? We apparently see his willingness to talk to anyone. And so I will not be surprised if we don't see an interview today. I won't be surprised if we don't see one tomorrow. I won't be surprised if we don't see one Monday. Now, if we start to see them Monday, then the judge might be motivated to do something to stop him, because he might think that he's going to continue this all even through trial. So I can see the judge potentially doing something to stop him from doing this, because this is, he's doing stuff that's not in his own best interest, in his own legal defense. It is absolutely crazy, right? So we, right there, I wanted to share with you guys some of the pictures that, well, I wanted to share with you guys, because I don't know, these weren't all the pictures of the book. These are some extra pictures too. Some of these pictures were ones it looks like he submitted with the book. But some of them look like some additional pictures too. So we are going to skip over that. Give me 1 second. So I want you guys to see, I found this video on YouTube of Baby Lane, right? Orlando Anderson, Keffe D's nephew. And I wanted to get some more background story, because remember when we were reading the book and Keffe D tells us that his nephew was unalive the same day that his grandmother was passed away? So it would have been Keffe D's grandmother, but Baby Lane's great-grandmother. So I wanted to confirm like the details of that story, right? Against what Keffe D put in the book. So apparently Baby Lane was raised by Keffe D's grandmother. um, which would have been Baby Lane's great grandmother. And there was confirmation that yes, Baby Lane was also raised by her. Um, and that they did pass away on the same day. The thing that confused me about whether or the series of that events is there's a part in the book where Keffe is speaking and he suggests that Orlando gave him some advice at the time of the proffer. And I'm like, wasn't he a dead by then? Because didn't he die when Keffe did that second bid in the prison? I couldn't put it quite together. So I went to go do some additional checking because I wanted to confirm. So it is confirmed that yes, Baby Lane did pass away later that day, the same day that his great grandmother, who did raise him, who also helped to raise Keffe that same day. It did happen the same day. So I was able to confirm that. But while I was looking for that, I hopped upon a YouTube video where Baby Lane is doing a interview. It's an interview from 1998. And I found it on this page called Space Life Z. Okay. So go to Space Life Z. It's spelled SPACELIFEZ, and subscribe to that channel. We're gonna play this video. But this is a interview. It's a little over 7 minutes long. And it's an interview that Baby Lane, Orlando Anderson, Keffe nephew, and the person to have alleged been the one who was the trigger man in the unaliving of Tupac. This is his interview with him. So give me 1 second. Let me move something around. Okay. We're going to get started. Oh.
Ask you point blank, did you kill Tupac Shakur?
Hold on, you guys.
I'm not in kill Tupac.
Is it Orlando?
Yes.
Let me just ask you point blank, did you kill Tupac Shakur?
I'm not in kill Tupac. I mean, I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? They would even say something like that. I mean, you know, I just want to tell everyone that, you know what I mean, I didn't do it. And I feel sorry for him, you know what I'm saying, his fans and his, and his family and friends.
From 1995 to date, have you ever ridden in a white Cadillac?
No.
Do you know anyone who owns a white Cadillac?
No.
Now, right here, where you see this pole and this coming of 2023, that's where the car wash was. They done tore around the whole area. The car wash was right at this corner, right here. Right to your right here, and this area is closed up as well, is Mom's Burger. This is the location where Orlando first saw the brothers from Corner Pocket at the car wash. And then that's when, at that point, I subsequently found out that he was here. He saw the two brothers from Corner Pocket that owed his brother or owed his uncle Keffe D some money or something. And so he wanted to deal with it. So I'm finding out that what he did, Orlando, he went over to Al's grandmother's house, which is over here in South High, and got Al. And they came back over here. When they came back over into this area after he picked up Al, they drove. I'm making a U-turn to drive. They drove past the car wash. They went past the car wash, which is right here, and they went and they parked.
Okay, so I want to stop right there because you guys remember when we were reading a book, right? Keffe D says that, okay, so the chaplain comes in that morning to tell him about his grandmother passing away, right? Which would have been Baby Lane's great grandmother. Keffe D was Baby Lane's uncle. So the chaplain came in, told Keffe D about the grandmother passing away. Keffe D's grandmother. Keffe D says in the book that he had a conversation with Baby Lane over that jail phone. And in that conversation, he basically said that he passed the reins over to Baby Lane. And so in saying that, now this guy who is narrating this video, he is saying that what Baby Lane went to go do the day that Keffe D's grandmother passed away was on the behalf of Keffe D. We now know that Keffe, and because the book says it, that Keffe D gave Baby Lane some marching instructions that day. Now, we don't know what the code was based off of what he told him over the phone. We don't. Only thing I can assume is that whatever ended up happening in the unaliving of Baby Lane on that day, this man who's narrating this story, and the story is being told on multiple occasions, that Baby Lane was going to go do something on Keffe D's behalf. Keffe D's book confirms that. He says that that's what he told Baby Lane.
Right here, Al was driving, Orlando was the passenger. Right here was the car wash. It's all torn down now, but it was the car wash. And they sat right at this position, and this is where Orlando got out of the car and confronted the brothers, the three guys that were shot and stuff. But as he got out and confronted them and got to yelling, the shootout started. Orlando started shooting at them. They returned fire. At least two of them had guns and returned fire. Three of them were struck. Two of them were killed. One survived. Orlando was apparently struck as well. So he got back in the car on the passenger side. I don't know. I don't remember whether Al had got out of the car at all, but Orlando either got back into the car or fell back in the car wounded. Orlando. Al got behind the wheel, and then he couldn't go straight because Compton High campus was closed. They turned here on Cocoa Street, and they start driving. I'll start driving with wounded Orlando in the passenger seat, and they start driving to the corner. And they proceeded this way. By that time, I guess he can hear sirens because I know I was coming in my vehicle, my undercover vehicle, from the police lot down the street. But he kind of like parked here and got out of the car. He got out of his car, and as I approached with my lights on and everything, because it was an undercover car, but it had bells and whistles on it. And he was like, he literally got in the street out there and flagged me down because he knew my car, you know. And soon as he did, I kind of jammed my brakes on right there, stopped, saw the car that they were in, noticed the passenger door was open, and I was frantically hollering, Reg, they shot Lando. They shot Lando. I immediately knew I was responding to shots fired call. And you can kind of hear shots on the rear lot of the police department. I'll show you where it was. But Michael, as soon as I saw that, I knew the car wash was just about a block or two away, figuring that was the scene of the call we were responding to. But when
you guys, I think this is Reggie Wright's dad, okay, the senior. I think that's who this is talking right now. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw him in another interview. So I think this is his dad in this interview. But yeah, so he's telling you the events that took place the day that Orlando Anderson was killed, right? And we know from the book, Keffe D had a conversation with Orlando that day because of the death of Keffe D's grandmother. He had a phone call with Orlando where he told Orlando to take over business. And now they are saying that whatever business that he went to go take care of is what led to him being killed that same day.
He said Lando was shot. I immediately surmised that they were involved. So I hooked Michael up right quick, walked him around his car, walked him around as my backup was coming. And as I walked him around, we got to the passenger door. I looked at Orlando with the door open, and I knew he was gravely, if not dead at the time, he was near death. I immediately called for paramedics and stuff, walked him back a little bit away from the car. And that's when my help showed up. A couple of my gang guys, Richardson and Aguirre, they popped up. And then I think eventually the chief rolled up, Yuri Taylor rolled up. But I immediately said, I got to get to the scene. So I turned Orlando, I mean, Al, Michael Duro, I turned him over to my two officers to take to the station as the other officers waited for the paramedics to show up. The paramedics apparently showed up. I wasn't here because I took off, went around the corner to go to the scene of the shooting, which was at the car wash. But that's kind of how things happened right in here. We're coming down from the scene where Orlando, correction, Michael Duro flagged me down. But I rode, I can hear shots, but at the same time, I can hear uh, dispatch putting out over the radio gunshot victims at the car wash over on Alameda, correction, on Alondra. So I start responding from the rear lot. Right in front of you in that brown building, right past these trees, is the rear lot of the police department. I don't recall if I was leaving the station or coming out of the station when I heard the shots and when I heard uh, the dispatcher over my radio saying gunshot victims at the car wash over there on Alondra, on West Alondra. Um, at the time, it's Compton Sheriff Station now, but at that time, it was Compton Police Department. And this wall wasn't up here like this. This retainer and this gate and all were put in by the Sheriff Department when they came in 2000. But back in 93 or 92, when this happened, this was Compton Police Department real lot, and this is where I rode out of uh, to head toward the gunshot victims. A lot of people didn't want to believe the scenario we had that day about him heading back to Southside. They was figuring that he should have been trying to go to the hospital, which Martin Luther King would have been the nearest one, emergency room, but that's going the other way. Matter of fact, I did talk to him after he was arrested. He told me he was trying to get to the hood to get some help for Orlando.
Okay, you guys. So that's the end of that video. So I wanted you guys to see that because I wanted you to see that little snippet of footage of Orlando denying that he had anything to do with the unalignment of Tupac Shakur, and then how Orlando ended up dead the same day as his great grandmother, which is written in Keffe D's book. And based on the marching orders that Keffe D gave Orlando that day, the fact that he ends up dead the same day was not quite as coincidence as some may say. So what kind of mission, what kind of thing was he on? What did Keffe send him out to do, right? That he doesn't want to discuss with Vlad. Because when Vlad asked him, and let me see if I can pull up that video, you guys, real quick, so we can watch a little bit of the beginning of that. But when Vlad asked him in the very first interview that Vlad does with Keffe D, Vlad asked him what some questions. He attempts to ask him some question about Baby Lane. Keffe D doesn't want to answer it. He doesn't want to answer them. So we are gonna listen to some of Vlad's interview. Give me 1 second. Let me get this off of here. Let's see. Save this. Okay. We are going to listen to some of it so you guys can hear what I'm saying. And listen to what he's saying. Hey, Tizboo, listen to what Keffe D is saying in comparison to what we heard in the book. And listen for how he is almost verbatim repeating series of events that took place in the book. And he's also almost verbatim saying them in this Vlad interview.
All right, here we go. I think we have one of the most controversial figures in hip hop right now. Keffe D is in the building. How's everything?
I'm all right. And how's I'm controversial?
You're pretty controversial. You're pretty controversial. But let's go ahead and get into your whole story. So you grew up in Compton.
Yes.
And these days people have a certain perception of Compton being kind of a violent area, a gang area. But when you grew up there, it was totally different.
When it first started out, yeah.
Okay, talk about that a little bit.
It was all white. All our neighbors was white. Moved out there in 1965. And yeah, mostly our neighbors was white. Then the blacks started coming in like 1969, 70, 71. And started converting into black community.
Okay. And you actually dealt with some racism as a kid.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
One day, me and my mom was coming from the store, and some white dudes in a 57 Chevy came up. I was like 4 or 5 years old. He like called us a bunch of N-words, and I kind of feel scared, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember Martin Luther King had just passed away on in and all that. Yeah. So I was kind of scared, yeah.
Okay. And your dad was a Marine?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many total kids was there total?
12.
12 kids?
Yeah.
All the same parents?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I guess you guys are related to Nat Turner?
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, wait a minute, you guys. So in the book, because like I said, let's pay attention. We're not going to watch this whole interview if you guys don't want to. I could, because I can pick apart based on what we've listened in the book already. But that's one thing. So he, in the book, it states that he's a descendant of Nat Turner. Kind of like, I guess, like Umar is a descendant of Frederick Douglass. Now, where did Yusuf Jah get that from? Yusuf Jah didn't pull that out his hat. He didn't do no research to find that out. Keffe D told him that. And he's confirming that in this interview with Vlad. But we have heard Keffe D repeatedly say, I didn't even read that book. I didn't write that book. I didn't have nothing to do with that book. Why would it be a detail like you are related to Nat Turner in that book if you didn't tell that to someone to put in the book? Right? So we hear him sitting here with Vlad in this interview about to promote this book that now he's saying he didn't write. And he's talking about his family connection to Nat Turner.
For those that don't know, Nat Turner had one of the biggest slave revolts in history, where he killed off a bunch of the slave masters, and until they finally caught up to him.
Yeah.
So here you are living in Compton, and it's mostly white families.
Yes.
And at one point, you have something called white flight.
Yes.
So explain to me what exactly that is and how that happened in Compton.
Well, once the blacks started moving in, the whites started moving out to different areas, to the suburbs, stuff like that, Riverside, Paris, all that type of areas and stuff like that.
Okay. And they were actually buying homes during that time?
Yes.
Okay. So you have this black community who has money, who have home ownership. At what point does it start to get, kind of more rough, though?
I say like about 75, 76. Because I had my first run-in with some gang violence in like 75, 76.
Okay.
I was on my way from the Savon's drugstore.
All right, now this again, another thing in the book. He talks about this in the opening of the book. He talks about his first run in. He's going to realize he sees some people running out. He doesn't realize that they're running out because they're coming after him, but then he's going to realize they're coming after him. And he goes and jumps into his car, gets in his car, and then he didn't realize that the doors weren't locked. They get in through the passenger side. They rustle him up pretty bad, and this ends up leading to Keffe's first arrest, where he goes into jail for this first time, and he ends up at Tracy, where Just V is trying to figure out what happened with that top bunk. Okay, that's this story. That's in the book.
And then on Long Beach Boulevard, we was on our way back. Once we passed Palmer, it was a liquor store called Drive Through Liquor right there on Long Beach Boulevard. And it was a gang of Pyrus right there. Little George, Herman Jr., Willie T. And ran into me. I ran into Willie T and he socked me, took my little 10-speed, drove off, kind of kicked me in the chest. So, yeah, that was my first really violent thing that happened to me. I was about 9 years old.
And what year did the gang start to form in Compton?
Oh, that's not the same event. Not yet. He's going to talk about that in a minute.
70.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's
so
a little bit
before
ahead.
that time.
Yeah.
What were the gangs that first started out in that area?
It was the Grandies and Boot Hill was the first two gangs in Compton. Then Spooktown and the Grandies became Nutty Block. Yeah, it was the first gangs. We came along about 71, 72.
Okay. And were there actually Crips and Bloods originally, or did that come a little bit later?
It was Crips and Bloods.
It's Jim Crow. It's Jim Crow, that's me. That's why. It's Jim Crow everywhere.
Okay. And your particular gang, they weren't Crips in the beginning.
They was called US, Us Boys.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you guys became Crips later on.
Like
I was a little too far ahead.
Yeah.
He's going to
so
talk
why
about
is
that story in a minute.
Why'd you guys go from being the Us Boys to Southside Crips?
I didn't, I wasn't really old enough to really know about that. But yeah, I wasn't old enough to know about that. Back then I was into sports, baseball, football, stuff like that. And I was like the ball boy for Compton College basketball team.
Right.
It was like #1 in the nation every year. Sent a lot of dudes to the pros, UCLA and stuff like that. So I was basically up into that type of stuff.
So at what point did you start to join a gang?
Really, I was in the gang when I was young. I lived in there. I lived in the hood, so I claimed the hood, but I really got into the gang in like junior high school, like about the 6th, 7th grade, yeah.
Okay, so you were, about 13, 14 years old?
About 12.
12 years old?
12 years old, yeah.
Okay. And what made you want to join a gang?
Exactly, Tiz. Just like the book. But he's
What
talking about he ain't right.
Yeah.
It was just, we was all like a family. We stuck together, stuff like that. And I was from that neighborhood, so I might as well ride with that,
Okay.
Go that route.
So did you get jumped in?
No.
That wasn't happening.
I'm like original. On the originals, yeah.
Okay. And was that Southside Crips at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Southside Crips, Compton Crips, yeah.
Okay. And who was Southside beefing with at that time?
Mostly the East Side Bloods, like Ams, Ludus Sparks, and the mobs wasn't out there. So mostly the mob was still Ludus Spark. Yeah.
Okay. And what started happening in the beginning as you're joining 12, 13 years old? What type of missions were you going out on?
I wasn't going on no missions. I didn't do no missions, no.
But so what type of gang things were you doing during that time?
I was just representing my turf, you know. Yeah.
Were there fist fights?
Fist fights, yeah. It wasn't really gunplay till I got a little older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was no stabbings, there was no...
It was just fist fights, stuff like that. Compton Parade, the Crips would come from Compton High School, and at the end, the Compton Raiders started at Compton High, and at the end at Ludus Park. So Compton High was known for like Crip High. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Ludus Park was known for the Pyrus over there. It was like Herman Jr., Marcus Nunn, bartender and stuff like that.
And Tiz, it speaks to the fact that that's the culture now.
You
right?
just mentioned
the
this.
Culture now
you were a ball
is
boy
that there is no,
for
like,
Compton
everybody
College.
messes with everybody.
And that's when the drug dealing first started.
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well, the baseball coach, he's buying weed, from me, stuff like that.
All right,
so one day I
now
went up
this is exactly in the book. He's going to talk about the fact that he was going over serving marijuana to the coach that was given to him by his brother. He was taking it over there, and then he's going to end up getting something else, some blow, right, from the coach, and the coach advises him to take it to his brother, but Keffe takes it for himself, and then that's how he skyrockets into a life of crime boss, right? He takes off, and immediately he starts to see profit from what he was handed by this coach. He tells this in the book, almost verbatim.
There, and he just he brought the ounce of weed from me for $60, and he pulled out his drawer, and he like, "Yo, man, see what you can do with this." And from then on, shit, that's when I came in the drug game.
And that was cocaine?
Yeah, coke.
Okay.
It was costing like $3,500 an ounce.
And this is before crack?
This is before crack.
Okay.
It's doing quarter teas. Quarter tea, it costs you $50. You just get teaspoon things, put it in the teaspoon, so level it off, boom, put it in a snow seal.
Okay. So now you're in high school and you're starting to sell coke.
Yeah.
So now you have money coming in.
Exactly.
And you're a Southside Crip as well.
Yes.
How does that start to escalate at that point?
Well, I caught a couple of cases. And these dudes that I caught a couple of drug cases.
So the drug dealing starts to build up.
Yes.
And you start getting busted.
Yeah.
And you end up getting 4 years when you were 20.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that the first time you went to prison?
Yes.
Okay.
The first time I did you guys that jumped me.
I
came out of the liquor store.
This is it. That's why I thought he was about to tell it at the beginning, because it was also a liquor store too involved in that one. So I thought that was the beginning. This is the story that he's going to tell him coming out the liquor store that I just went through. This is exactly how it is in his book. The series of events of how he says it took place is exactly what he says in the book. Take a listen.
They had hit the corner. So I was getting in my car. I had a white 68 Chevy back then. Getting in my car and they hit the corner. It was like 8 of them. Had bats, sticks, and all kind of shit. So some kind of way they got my door open. You know what I'm saying? My passenger door. So they kind of fucked me up, gave me a concussion, broke my little jaw and stuff. So I went to my house. They didn't have AKs back then. They had 30-30s. I got my 30-30 at 2 clips, and I put my 9mm in my back. So on my way, I hit the corner. The main dude that hit me in the head, I stopped at his house. He ran in the house, and I unloaded the clips in his house. Then I hit the corner. His brother was out there. So I jumped out the car with the gun. The dude was on the gate. He was like, this, but it was too many witnesses, so I didn't chop him up. So I just hit him with the butt of the gun, and me and my homies rushed this motherfucking ass. And I went to the pen for that.
Oh, so it was actually over, I guess, assault.
It was all they ran all the shit concurrent. My drug case and that case there too.
Okay, so at 20 years old, you're now going to the penitentiary.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah, I went to DVI. It was called Tracy.
Okay.
It was like 3,700 inmates, and half the line was Crips. So it was really more Crip. That was like Crip capital of California back then, of the state prison. There's no bloods allowed whatsoever.
Okay. But there was also the Black Guerrilla family. Was there a faction of that there or not really?
They had like Latif. They had some generals up there, but they didn't really have no soldiers. So they was really, it was our yard. So yeah.
Okay.
And that's when the Crips started taking over the prison system.
Okay.
And the whole prison system was really ours.
Okay. And you said it was like gladiator school.
Yeah, Tracy was, yeah. About 13 people died within the 3-4 years I was there.
13 people?
About 13 people, yeah.
Okay. And
first day I hit the yard, Mexican fall on the knife. Bam! Like, damn, this shit is serious. Behind the wall shit, yeah. They had a gun tower in the middle of the yard. They'd fire that thing off all the time. So, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of dangerous.
Well, and I guess there are rapes going on as well?
Yeah, but I stayed away from that type of shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Back then, it was only like 8 prisons. And you had to really do something to go to prison. They just didn't take everybody to prison. Now there's like 40 prisons. They'll take anybody to fucking prison now. Yeah. And you had to really do something back then to go to prison.
So you get out 4 years later?
Yeah.
You're 24?
Yeah, 24, 25, yeah.
Now, for some people, prison makes them say, I'm not going to do anything more illegal. I'm done. But you went the exact opposite way.
No, it just made me smarter. That's all. Made me street smarter. It made me a little rougher. And made my thoughts a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by that time, was crack already out?
Yeah, crack was out, yeah.
Okay.
Crack was out before I left.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you see different when crack hit Compton?
It really messed up our community. And because mothers was neglecting their kids, you know what I'm saying? Fathers weren't, running off on spend their whole paycheck. It was really kind of fucked up our community. And, as I look back at it, I think I was a part of it.
You think?
And, I asked the Lord to forgive me a few times for that.
I didn't be Freeway Ricky.
Just me, wait, but let me stop. The top bunk was the key, right? So you sounded just like all of these other people talking about he don't even know what's in that book. So because he left out the part about the top bunk, he ain't write this book. He ain't write it. That's what these people do. When they don't mention, when somebody don't mention a particular thing or whatever, if they don't say every detail, then they be like, see, in the book he said such and such and such, and he didn't even repeat that over there. Oh, he ain't write that. That's how these people sound. And look, most of these people, I can tell now that I have read the book, and this is exactly what I was saying, like about other things that I have studied, looked into, read behind, right? I can tell if the people are not familiar with the basic information that's available on a topic because they'll reference something, but because I read it in its entirety or I look at the document in its entirety or whatever, and I don't just parse out and pick out what I want to use like to create my own narrative, then I can tell that somebody else is like embellishing around the subject, right? And so I can tell that most of these people speaking about that book did not read that book. And if they read it, they didn't comprehend. You said they always think they'll get smarter, get out doing the same and still get caught. Exactly. Dumb as hell. And throughout the book, we keep hearing him say that he knew that somebody was working with the police or he knew that somebody was doing this, but then you still continue to be involved with them. You still continue to make them part of your business. How did you know that at the time if you were still doing business with them and still continue doing business with them? Like, you're right. They all always try to make it seem like they smarter and knew more than what they knew when they don't realize that, then that really makes them dumb. They need to just admit that they didn't know. They didn't have no clue that these people was in working or cooperating or none of that. Because to say that you knew the person was cooperating, but you still continue to do business with them is insane.
He said that he sold crack to his own relatives. And, you know, he's aware of the damage.
We didn't really know what the dope was going to do. You know, I used to look at cocaine like I look at weed now, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
But did you look at crack the way you look at weed? Really?
I had never saw a crackhead.
Okay.
It was a time that there wasn't a crackhead.
So that's.
But after a year or two.
It takes longer than a year.
Really?
Yeah.
How long does someone go from smoking crack to becoming a crackhead?
Well, it's a cardinal who it is. You know, there's people that can function, that keep their job, that can say, you know what, I'm gonna smoke a $10 piece every day. I'm gonna smoke a $20 piece every other day. And then there's the ones who will say, you know what, I've been working on this job for 20 years. I'm tired of this damn job. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna be a dope dealer, smoker. And they just go all the way with it. So it varies on person to person. But I don't think that when it started that we knew that our people were going to get hooked on crack. Because I sold to my people. I sold to my girlfriend. I gave my girlfriend, I gave my uncles, my brothers. I used to give them all though.
So you did the same thing. You sold drugs to your own family members.
Absolutely.
Okay. How many of them became addicts?
A lot of them did.
A lot of them did.
And you want to know what, you guys? That is true. I got to say that is kind of true, right? We don't ever envision a time where the idea crackhead wasn't insulting, right? But there was a time, because prior to it even becoming something that was cooked up, there was a time that term didn't even exist. You said, didn't crack come after heroin though? I think so. Or there was some kind of overlap. I think I'm just be. Because I know like there were a lot of white people in New York City who were heroin addicts. And so I think it either was some overlap. So they either came like almost simultaneously at the same time, or I think heroin might have been a little before crack, right? But I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna look while he's talking. But that is a real thing. It's like, okay, back during that time, crackhead wasn't even an insult because it wasn't even a thing. And so you had people like, when you think about back to the days of Studio 54 and all of those things, that people were doing coke. It was the in thing to do. Like, it just like now you can't even go down the street without smelling marijuana every damn where certain places you go into. Like, you know, it's not looked at as taboo. And so there had to be a time that the people did not know that what they had created was going to be this devastating to a community. You said, I think it was after, so they may not have seen crackheads, but they saw heroin junk. Yeah, but okay, but compare that to coke kids, right? Compared to coke kids, it wasn't really an insult for people to be on cocaine. That wasn't an insult. So, okay, you got people on heroin, and you saw the impact of it. But then coke, you use coke to make crack, right? And you have these cokeheads, you have these people who are casual cokeheads who do it when they are in the clubs. You got these people doing all of these quaaludes, you know, poppers. This is the scene of crack, right? You know, as crack is coming on the scene. So you have a lot of things to compare it to. It's possible they didn't know that it was going to be that bad. You said, I guess I could see them not. Yeah, it's because heroin was a whole different spiral, right? But when they probably thought about it, okay, well, we're using coke to make crack. The people selling it are only looking at the profit margin. The people purchasing the coke crack are only looking at that it's cheaper than me having to buy Coke. That's why it catered more to a different demographic. This is why people of color ended up becoming more crack addicted when that happened, because it was cheaper than them having to supply themselves with cocaine. A lot of white people, they continue to just use Coke because Coke was more affordable for that particular lane of people who that was their drug of choice, right? But crack became the cheaper alternative. So they looked at it as a way to have, they probably thought, okay, we're going to get the same experience, but maybe at a they might have thought it was going to be at a duller rate or something. Like it would be something. It's just similar maybe to you buying the name brand versus the store brand, right? That's how I can try to, like, in my mind, conceptualize it. Like the store brand, in some instances, the store brand tastes better than the name brand, right? You end up finding that out when you purchase the store brand, because you're like, okay, yeah, I don't want to buy that. That's a little bit of extra money, too much money. So let me buy the store brand. You buy the store brand, you go home, the store brand is better. And then some people will continue to just buy the store brand from then on out because they feel like it was better, right? Well, but prior to that, you were getting the name brand and you felt like the name brand was better, right? So that's how I kind of like look at the dynamics between cocaine and crack, right? That people, and then it just got out of control. But I can see that being a thing. That's very true.
But then I helped them get off.
Okay.
The ones who wanted to. Now I got an uncle, he's 70-something years old. He said he don't see no reason to quit smoking crack.
Were you doing stuff like that?
No. Once I got out of prison, I didn't really have to.
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta stop it real quick because I gotta ask y'all something and just put it in the chat. Did Tasha K say something similar about her dad? Did she say that her dad is still like a crackhead, or he do some kind of drug that he still says he has no intentions of ever getting off of? If I think I remember her saying that, but put it in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't know. I might be thinking about something else. But I thought it was Tasha K who said that her father is like a crackhead, or I don't know. She said crack or alcohol or some other kind of drug. I don't know. But she said he told her he don't have no intentions of ever having getting off of it.
To touch the stuff no more. Yeah, I didn't really have to touch the stuff. I made myself smarter when ride around with it and nothing like that. I use other guys to do that.
All right,
so it was really kind of hard for the local police to get me. You know what I'm saying? Where I wouldn't have to touch the stuff. So I thought about that shit the whole 4 years I was in jail. I had to put my plan together while I was in there. I just wasn't in there lifting weights, doing this. I was thinking of a plan, master plan.
Right. I mean, a lot of times I hear prison is like criminal school or criminal college where you learn how to.
Well, I went to UCLA while I was in high school, in an upper bound program, stayed there, 9 weeks out of the year. And, it was, I really had book sense, street sense, and common sense. Yeah. So I just put them all three together.
I ain't attesting to none of that, Keffe.
And that's
I ain't attesting to none of that.
Okay. So you get out, and at one point you actually get a Colombian connect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's another thing that is almost going to be verbatim how he discussed it in the book. Pay attention.
I was going around buying 3 birds from this person, 5 birds from this person, and I happened to have one of my OG partners in the car with me. He like, man, you got to go to all them different places just to get fucking 15 keys. He like, man, I got a plug for you.
All right, I'm stopping it right there for a second, because when you see these amounts that he's giving, these increments, right, it is exactly how he says stuff in the book. That's what I'm saying. This is how we know Keffe D wrote this book. Everybody else who wants to say that it's, oh, well, he did. No, we know people who read, who are avid readers, who can connect things. We know that Keffe D read these books wrote this book as we compare it to his interviews, because even the number increments are staying the same. We hear him say that 48 over and over again in interviews, all the way up to yesterday, right? All the way up to yesterday. That's a number that he gives in the book. We hear him talk about this 3 over here, and then the total 15 that you said to my boy said you gotta go all these places to get 15. That's the same number he uses in the book. The same number.
Okay, cool. Then so he set up a dinner date with the dude. We get there, we pull up in my rag vet. We get there, my boy, we met him on right there in Lakewood at that Denny's on the 91 in Lakewood Boulevard right there. So we sitting there eating and stuff. Dude pull up in a Plymouth Acclaim, tripped me the fuck out. He had on glasses and everything, looked like a square, young too, you know. So we ate and stuff. He like, ooh. So he said, he ain't got nothing right now. He gonna get back with me later. So me and my boy pulled off. Like, damn, he don't even look like he got nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that mother bad motherfucker. So I went on out of town. When I got back, I went and copped some more shit. It just so happened I see the food on Long Beach Boulevard. It was on from that day on.
Okay. And I guess the first time you did business with your Colombian guy, he gave you 148 kilos on consignment.
Oh man. He like also like I was gonna bring him like 200,000-300,000. And he like, man, keep your money, you don't need the money. So shit, we went in a 1-bedroom apartment. Hit that motherfucking we went in the kitchen, motherfucker opened up all the cabinets. The whole shit was full of.
This is exactly what he says in the book. Exactly how he describes the event in the book.
Birds. I'm like, damn. First time I ever seen that many birds. And we boxed them up in the U-Haul boxes and left up out of there. And he charged me $11,000 for each one. So bam, I was on after that.
Okay. And I guess you add all that together, you're looking at like $2.5 million.
Man, balling.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
So you started distributing all that. All that started getting rocked up and distributed. And
no,
so you were just selling the kilos wholesale?
Keys, the way they were.
Okay, because
shooting them out of town.
That was just faster.
Different states and everything. Once you get on that level, you ain't got to do that rocking up shit. No.
Okay, well, because Freeway Ricky, he had a massive operation, but he had actual crack houses, and he was moving like 500,000 crack rocks a day. Like it was like some crazy amount. You were moving 100 kilos a day. You had a dozen crack houses that were making 40,000 in profit a day. And you had a network of dealers that were moving 500,000 crack rocks a day.
But Freeway Ricky, and not this is would be the difference. Freeway Ricky really invented this lane. And when you invented something, you are the one who does the experimentation, because you are trying to figure out new ways, new methods, new things, right? So Freeway Ricky came into this basically as an inventor of this game, for real. And so yes, his experience would be a little bit different and unique to what some other people came in with lanes already created for them. And so they knew what they wanted to get into and what they didn't want to be involved in. And then when you look at how the transformation of legislation started happening surrounding you getting caught with one thing over the other and all of these other things, this is what stares certain people away from certain lanes. So I can see Keffe saying, yeah, we want to be messed up with that cooked up stuff. We rather, if we was gonna get caught, we get caught with the blow. Not none of that cooked up shit, because that could have got them into more trouble. And you're right. Most of the time, like I guess like once Freeway Ricky got over that invention period, the person that you would have doing that kind of cooking more so was like on your lower level. It wasn't at the level, you know, you buying the bricks from the top, and then those lower level distributors are the ones who are doing that cooked up stuff to make it expand. So it was no need for those people at the top to sell crack. The purpose of crack was so that they could make more profit. That was the purpose for the lower level dealer, was to expand and make opportunities to make more profit.
When you look at these types of numbers, and this is all, you've laid all this out in your book, it is a staggering amount of drugs. I mean, 500,000 rocks a day. Like, when you look at that right now, how do you even come to grips with it?
I don't know. It's like, you know, that was just something I stumbled up on. You know, it was only when I really got in prison that I really understood the magnitude.
He's in LA. We from Compton. We do it a little different.
Okay.
We use the street level dudes to do that type of shit.
Did you guys ever cross paths? You and
I
Freeway?
never crossed paths with him. One of my partners went to jail with him on that case down there in San Diego. Yeah, that's when I crossed paths with him.
Okay. Well, there was also the PCP.
Yeah.
And you described cooking PCP as one of those ancient hood secrets.
No, I wouldn't call it that. We ain't letting nobody in.
He talks about this in the book when he's saying that water, right? That's what he's talking about. But he makes it clear that he was more so in the business of selling coke than he was dealing with the PCP. But he talks about him and his ability to be able to put together the PCP. Like, he was being praised by law enforcement that they haven't seen anybody have those same abilities like him, you know, across the country. Like, he talks about his knowledge of handling PCP in a way that he says he got praise from law enforcement about it. But he's going to speak about it here in this interview that predominantly he was in the business of selling cocaine. That was his predominant business. That was his lane, selling cocaine. And he says that he's consistent about that in the book. He's consistent about that as he's giving this interview.
In that game, you know, the city of Compton and Watts, they ain't letting people in that game.
Okay, because I guess with PCP, if you don't know what you're doing, you like blow up your whole house.
Yeah, you can fuck yourself up.
Okay. And PCP, I mean, cocaine and crack is a hard drug, but PCP is on a whole different level.
Yeah.
You know, we've interviewed people that have, like, one guy cut off his own penis and, like, you know, like crazy shit.
I was high as a motherfucking man with no sleep and shit, and just frustrated because, you know, I couldn't talk to my babies and shit like that. And I had like, I'm paying like 3 child support payments when I'm not seeing none of my kids and shit.
Right.
And then I really thought for that moment in time that I'm really hurting myself, just, you know, not having a vasectomy or whatnot, you know, or that. And,
okay.
And it was just like, I was going to give myself one, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean?
That's the reason.
Yeah, and I blasted off high.
So
you know what I'm saying? I was watching Family Guy.
Okay.
Watching Family Guy, and what's the other shit? Family Guy, and American Dad. Okay. So I was like in the cartoon world. So when you smoke that wet PCP, you be like, you know, shit is like you're
in the cartoon?
You're in the electronic world. You're in the electron, neutron world. The shit is just not, you know, what happens in the subatomic world is different what happens in the in this reality.
So you were in a fantasy world.
Not necessarily fantasy world, I wouldn't even say.
Well, you were
I was just in a world.
Different world.
I was in a subatomic world. Let's
say
that.
In a subatomic world, and you grabbed a knife?
I don't know what I grabbed. Whatever nigga told you what I grabbed might be queer because I don't know what I grabbed. It's like I would have turned my head at that point. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to my niggas. I ain't say nobody's queer because I don't know what they said, but somebody said I grabbed a knife, I cut my shit, then I looked back and I sliced and I did some some Ginzu shit. It's like, nah, I don't know. No.
You don't remember it, but
I remember I made a flooper. I made a slice that was puts away the knife or what I grabbed, but that was too sharp. It was too sharp because what I did when she was like that shit was too sharp. It was, I don't want to say it was too sharp. I was too fucked up. To be honestly, I grabbed some type of knife. I must have grabbed some type of knife, a steak knife. You know what I'm saying? And niggas who see me grab a steak knife, they justify it because I would look at my ass too if I wouldn't grab the knife as high as I was. Tell you the truth, make sure my life was not in jeopardy. So I recant that statement, but I did grab the knife, and it was like out of frustration due to the fact I couldn't see my kid.
You guys, so it looks like heroin, the street use of heroin started at the end of the 1800s. So it says 1898 they started with the street use. I know that it had some medicinal values prior to that, but the street use of heroin started, they said, in 1898. So heroin has a long history of abuse. They probably was abusing it even when they were using it for its medicinal value. But I guess it was banned. It's saying that it was banned in the United States as of 1924. And so then from then on out, it becomes, a controlled dangerous substance. But there was some medicinal value, but I guess they were knocking it down to a street value in 1898. And then by 1924, it was banned in the United States and making the sale illegal. So heroin been around a long ass time. I don't know that many heroin addicts. So I see them. I've seen them on the street, but as far as like knowing people who was actually on heroin, I don't think I know them. I don't. Now maybe I did and I just don't know it, but I don't think I haven't seen anybody that I know that particularly may have been on drugs. I might have known they were on drugs, but I didn't think heroin was the drug they were using because I seen heroin addicts on the street and none of them like resembled some of those patterns of activity and behavior that I saw. So I don't know that many heroin addicts now. I know some people who used to participate in that type of activities doing, with that, but I don't know. I didn't get no stories from them, or I don't know. I don't know nothing about no heroin addicts, y'all. So, but apparently, I know that once it was legal, like all opiates, like they were legal, and then at some point, then they become illegal, and so heroin was one, but I didn't know it was as early as 1898 that it started being abused, outside of its medicinal value. And it says by 1924 it had been banned, so it was no longer something that they considered for people to use for its medicinal purpose. But it's kind of like the same way how you look at fentanyl, right? Fentanyl has a medicinal value that is used in the hospitals. It's used and prescribed by doctors for certain different things based on the FDA, right? But then you have this synthetic thing that gets sold in the street. So that's the same, I guess, history timeline you would see in the parallel between heroin and then fentanyl. You would see that same kind of parallel. But yeah, that's what it's saying. It's saying they started to notice that people would use it, and there was some street commercial sales happening as early as 1898, and then they banned it in the United States as of 1924.
And vasectomy and monk type of shit was on my mind. You know what I mean?
Were you moving both PCP and cocaine, or once cocaine came, then it just was more lucrative that way?
I was just mostly cocaine.
Okay. All right. So now you have a Colombian plug.
Yes.
Who's giving you hundreds of kilos on consignment.
Yes.
Did you ever have a situation where you couldn't pay him back?
Never.
Never,
no.
So he gave you those, you'd give you a bunch of keys, you'd bring back the money next time, and so forth and so forth. But shit happens though. The police bust you, people steal.
Yeah, all that.
You try to ship shit and it doesn't show up. So it's not like this is an easy
Colombians,
business.
let me cut you off. Colombians ain't going to just give their shit to anybody. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able, you know what I'm saying? You got to cover your ass. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't going to give it to no softball person because people will take their shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got gangsters out there where I grew up at, Compton, Watts area. They'll take your shit in a heartbeat, have your ass tied up, cut your dick off and put it in your ass, put it in your mouth, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I never had no situations like that ever in my life.
Okay, because with the drug dealers came the drug robbers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just like everything else in life. The guys that basically didn't want to sell drugs, they just wanted to rob drug dealers.
Yeah, they have people like doing that too, yeah.
But
they got the squares going to school, going to job.
But you never got robbed?
Never.
Okay. Well, in the book, you said at one point you were moving 300 kilos a month.
Yeah.
But actually you maxed out at 800 kilos a month.
No, never. I never had no 800.
Well, it says, I maxed out 700 to 800 kilos a month, pulling in a cool for 4.
Oh, some months that wanted to be a drought. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go, yeah.
Okay, so this is an area where some people will try to seize on the moment to say, see, he didn't remember he said that in the book. No, this is a communication error between Vlad and Keffe D, in my opinion, based off of how I'm listening to it, right? This is why I say I got to listen to stuff for myself in order for me to formulate my own opinion, because a lot of people will just run with things. So this was a communication barrier. It was a lack of understanding on both of their ends on who said what, right? But I think Vlad understood it properly as it was written in the book. So what Keffe D was saying is, or at least this is what I took from it, is that at a time he had access to a little over 300 kilos of cocaine, right? But over a period of a month's time, he could sell up to 800 kilograms of cocaine, right? That's not having in your possession at that time. It means that he would sell 300 and then return the money on it, get 300 more, return the money on it, and then get rid of another 200 within the month, right? Of that 300, right? Meaning that within a month's time, he sold a total of 800 kilograms of cocaine, but at a time, he only had 300 or a little over 300. So, but there are some people who would take that little blurb right there and say, oh, see, he didn't even know in the book that he said that he had access, or it was put in the book. No, it's just a matter of inventory. At a time, based on his inventory, he only had a little over 300 kilograms of cocaine in his possession. But over a month's time, he would turn over approximately 800 kilograms of cocaine. Now, listen to y'all. I'm not saying if I believe this or not. I'm saying this is what is said, okay? But I also want to explain why some people would take that and then try to say, see, he didn't even know in the book that he said that somebody else put that in there. No. And now when Vlad confirms, now Keffe D understands once Vlad gives some more insight. Oh, yeah. Over a month's time, I might have sold 800 kilograms of cocaine, but at a time, I only had a little over 300.
Like the shit that goes so fucking quick, 2 or 3 days, it should be gone. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I mean, so now you're touching millions of dollars.
Exactly.
What are you doing with all this money?
Oh, having fun. I was buying Armani, Brioni suits.
Yeah, but you can't buy enough suits.
Fights, just, gambling, all that shit. My Colombian boy loved to gamble. That motherfucker was like the devil, man. That motherfucker never lost, man. Never.
Another thing he states in the book. In the book, he talks about his Colombian homeboy who he gambled with. He's going to verbatim talk about him having chips stacked up. It's the same exact things that he says in the book. Same language.
Lost, I swear. We would be in Caesar's Palace. His fucking chips would be up this fucking high. Like, what the fuck is... I said, you the fucking devil, dude. I swear to God, you the devil. Motherfucker never lost. He'd go to the fucking
In the book, he called him the devil. And then in the book, he mentions when he realized that his homeboy wasn't the devil.
bicycle club, won 140,000. I'm like, what the fuck? That motherfucker was lucky as a motherfucker. But I found out he wasn't the devil because the people downtown took his ass down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
See? So now we are understanding when Keffe D, see Just V, now we're going to tie this in. Because we see now understand what Keffe D is saying when he's saying that his life is being threatened, his family's life is being threatened. When he's talking about the threats, he's talking about a threat to their freedom, right? A threat to their freedom. Because now he equated his homeboy because he couldn't lose in gambling as to he thought he was the devil because he felt like I guess he's trying to say the devil was lucky. It's lucky. I don't know what the correlation is with that, but I guess he sees somehow as that there's something sinister about the luck of the devil, right? And then, but Keffe says, I realized he wasn't the devil when he got caught up by them boys. That's when I realized he wasn't the devil. So it's either that he equates something that sinister about the devil's luck that he connected to his homeboy, or that if he's looking at the devil in an evil sense, he equates evilness to whether or not you have luck, how lucky you stay, and the minute that you are no longer lucky, then I can say, okay, you're not evil, you're not one of them, you're not with them, right? It's one or the other. It's one of those interpretations. But he in the book, he calls his homeboy the devil. He talks about them gambling and the good times that they had gambling, about the fact that his homeboy could never lose. And then the same thing. I realized he wasn't the devil because when them boys came and got him, he went down for it. He didn't make it out of it. The luck ran out. He no longer had that same kind of luck he did when we walked in the casino.
He got busted eventually.
Yeah, he got busted.
Okay, and that was your main plug.
Yeah, that was the main plug.
Okay, let's just rewind for a second. You're not moving all this stuff in Compton.
No.
You're starting to go interstate.
Yeah.
You know, when Ice Cube made the song.
Yeah, he was snitching.
He was snitching.
Rappers always snitching.
My Summer Vacation.
Yeah, all that. St. Louis niggas taking cornerback. All that. Yeah. Like, damn, Ice Cube, fuck. You know, him, Jeezy too. The rims is more birds, the bigger the rims and all that. That's crazy.
Right, because you guys were putting cocaine in the rims.
No, I never put no. I was smoother than that.
Okay, but other people were.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have this operation that's bringing in millions and millions of dollars a month, and your plug gets busted.
Yeah.
But there's people way above him.
Yeah.
And we talk about
when he got busted, his brother came.
Okay.
A couple of days later, and like, man, you want to keep on going? I'm like, boom, yeah.
Now, is this part of the Pablo Escobar's operation, the Medellin cartel, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they ever ask you to fly to Colombia yourself?
No. I was on parole. Like a couple of them years. I never went down there, no.
You didn't want to send anybody down there?
No, I ain't going. No.
Too dangerous?
Yeah. Too dangerous,
Yeah, Escobar didn't play around.
Exactly.
Okay. And also, if you didn't pay him back.
Yeah. They come for you. They kill your whole family.
Yeah.
All that, yeah.
Well, he was killing
bow tie.
He was killing politicians.
Yeah.
So I mean, he didn't
fuck about no shit.
He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were basically one of Pablo Escobar's guys in the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay. Your plug gets busted. His brother takes over, so business just doesn't even slow down.
Yeah.
Well, what ultimately happens with that whole operation?
Shit. After September, last time I seen him was September the 9th, 1996.
Okay.
Last time I seen him.
Okay.
Because the newspaper article came out, Keffe D nephew in the LA Times got into it with Tupac at the MGM.
Okay.
And I met him at the gas station. He had the little Time article.
Okay, and we'll get into that part of the story. I see what you're saying. So basically, I'm just going to chronologically kind of head through. I see what you mean though. Basically,
he got the fuck on.
He got the fuck on because of that, right? Got it. Yeah. Okay. So here you are, making all this money, hand over fist, and you have this operation, and you don't have to touch anything at this point because you're essentially a kingpin.
Yeah. Like Reggie Wright said the other day on your interview, he said, it was somebody else's KPD taking the credit for it.
Think. Well, what was the biggest bust that you knew of in Compton while you were working?
A guy named Fink, who Keffe D trying to take credit for it, saying it was his, but it was Fink's dope. He had 63 kilos, and he was moving it. He had an old man driving a camper, and his family, like they were going on a trip, going out, because they was moving it back south, because that's where you can get more money for your keys at. But they were trying to look like a family. But they had informants, had an informant that said, hey, this old man about to, move about 63, 70 keys across the country. And we stopped them and seized the camper and the trailer. We was always told it was Fink, but I recently heard in his book, Keffe D trying to take credit like it was his. But
And Keffe D does say that. In Keffe D's book, he says this, and he repeats this in this last interview.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I wish he would have told them dudes downtown that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was just
See, and so he's corroborating it. So Reggie is trying to say, listen, I don't even think that was really Keffe D. I think that was just him lying, and he was just putting on. He was taking credit for what somebody else had done. Keffe D doubles down. This is in the book, verbatim. Keffe D doubles down on this and says, yes, it was me. And if he didn't think it was me, I wish he would have been said that when they went down there, so I wouldn't have been responsible for it, so that they wouldn't have been after me behind it.
A low-level cop, he wouldn't know fucking what's going on. Evidently, I was doing a hell of a job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but the people downtown, the big boys, like the FBI, they knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
At one point, Compton becomes a hip-hop mecca.
Yeah.
Starting with Eazy-E.
Exactly. Back in like 82, about 81, 82, we used to cook at his mama's house.
At Eazy's house?
Yeah, cook up the big shit. This is before I went to the prison. We used to cook up, and he used to be in the back room playing that shit. I was like, man, that's some bullshit. I swear to God. I used to tell you, man, that shit is garbage. So once I went to the pen, I had been hearing the music all the time because they didn't have they only had 3 TV stations up there. So you didn't see no videos or nothing like that. I had been walking with my cassette tape, listening to this, cruising down the street in my 64.
Yeah.
So one of the homies came up there and said, man, what the hell Eric Wright doing? I said, man, you ain't heard that song, Cruising Down the Street in my 64? Like, that's Eazy-E. I said, man, you got to be bullshitting. He said, yeah. So, yeah, Eazy was like, worked it with us and everything. He started off, but I thought that shit wasn't going to work, but that shit, he came up like a motherfucker.
Well, Eazy-E was a Kelly Park Crip.
Yeah.
Was Southside and Kelly Park cool?
Yeah, the whole Alondra is really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole Alondra is all Crips.
Okay. How big of a drug dealer was Eazy?
Before I went, he was just selling like 8 balls and 4.5 and stuff like that.
So he never got to kilos or anything?
No, he never got to kilos.
Okay.
He had hit the music industry, hit it rich.
Right.
So you sell drugs to be successful to get up out that shit.
Yeah.
And to get out the gang and all that shit, so you can provide for your family.
Well,
but the kids these days are doing this shit is backwards. Like Chris Breezy, what's that other dude name? What's that dude? Soldier Boy.
Mm-hmm.
All them dudes doing that shit backwards. They wait to get $1 million to get in the gang.
Right.
And I feel Suge did the same thing too.
Yeah.
He waited and got rich to get in the game.
Yeah.
That was stupid as fuck. I'm quite sure my boy wouldn't have even got with him if he knowed he was going to do that shit backwards like that, because he was a college student.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we'll talk about all that.
Yeah.
So when Boys in the Hood came out, and I remember I was living in the Bay.
Yeah.
It was like the biggest shit ever.
Yeah.
Because it was so different, and the production was so crazy.
Yeah.
With Dr. Dre and Ice Cube writing the rhymes. It all came together like a perfect storm.
Exactly.
And I had never even heard of Compton.
For real?
Yeah, because I was living in the Bay.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't going to, I'd never been to LA. So Compton wasn't this national city, you know, known worldwide how it is now. So he's yelling Compton and everything else like that. And it just put Compton on the hip hop map.
Yeah. Well, before then, though, Compton had a lot of athletes, a lot of baseball players like Lonnie Smith, Reggie Smith, what's the other dude? Kenny Landreau. You know, Compton had a lot of athletes, football players, basketball players. Dennis Johnson lived on my street, played for the Boston Celtics. He grew up on my block. Yeah.
Okay. NWA blows the fuck up.
Yeah.
But then after the first album, Ice Cube leaves.
Yeah.
Then the second album comes out, and then Dr. Dre wants to leave.
Yeah.
And that's when Suge Knight starts to come in.
Exactly.
Because he's friends. You know, I've interviewed DOC.
Yeah.
He talked about the whole story, how him and Suge was cool, and him and, you know, DOC and Dre were cool. So now they come up with an idea. I think originally it was called Future Shock Records.
Yeah.
And now they want to basically take Dr. Dre and Michelle A into this new record company.
When Dre and I decided to do this label, it was called Future Shock. That's what Dre wanted to call it.
Future Shock
Future
Records.
Shock. Yeah. Or some Future Shock Entertainment, something.
Okay. In the process of trying to get Death Row going, you, Dre, and Michelle A were still under contract at Ruthless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you had actually known Suge Knight as a kid.
Yeah. We played football. His daddy, he's the original Suge one.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a uncle named T, Chili. And I wound up in the federal prison with one of them.
Okay.
Up out there in Safford, Arizona.
Well, once you start hitting 12, 13, 14 years old and you start getting involved in gangs, from what I understand, Suge was not.
No, Suge wasn't. No, he played football with us. He was a good kid. Daddy and him had some money, trucking companies, Benzos, fucking nice vans and all that shit, nice ass vans. That's when the black community was into them vans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Suge, Daddy and them, they had money. We used to, after the football game, we used to go over their house, go swimming, eat hot dogs and chips, punch and shit like that.
Right. And Suge was actually a really good football player.
All right, you guys, I'm stopping right there because it's more to this interview. Go over the Blades and watch it and compare it to what you guys can see from what we read in the book. But right there is another thing telling about Keffe D writing this book over and over and over again. Hot dogs, chips, stuff like that, going over there swimming. These are all the things he details in the book, right? So over and over again, you can see why that certain certain people who read this book, we can tell and see Keffe D's hand in that entire work. Because the things that he has said in the interview match. There's a part of this interview I want to get to really quick. I'm trying to see when he goes to because this is a part where I could see that some people are trying to use as him being confused. Wait a minute. There's a part of the interview in this interview with Vlad where Vlad asked him a question and about Baby Lane. He asks him a question about Diddy. Keffe D doesn't want to answer it, right? And He uses that as an opportunity to promote the book. When Keffe doesn't want to answer the question, Vlad refers to statements in the book to try to get Keffe to discuss the content of the book. And Keffe asked the question to Vlad, "Oh, it's in my book?" And Vlad is like, "Yeah, it's in the book." And so he said, "Oh yeah, give me a copy of that." And so Vlad passes Keffe, or someone on Vlad's side passes Keffe a copy of the book. And when Keffe gets the book in his hand, he uses that as a promotion opportunity in order to promote the book and tell people to go get the book. And if they want to know what happened about those things, to go get the book. Well, the problem is we've read the book. So when you go get the book, you don't hear those details about Puff. You don't hear those specific details about Baby Lane. In the book, he speaks about them just as ambiguous as he does when he's doing these interviews. So no one has really gotten real true insight, because he'll say something different in the various interviews that he goes in. But in the book, he has not documented any of that. There are lots of things on the various interviews that he says about Puff. He tries not to speak too much about Baby Lane, but definitely in reference to Puff and his involvement. In the book, he does not give us any real exact details about Puff's involvement, other than that there was a conversation with Puff where Puff expressed that he wanted Tupac and Suge gone, and that he would be willing to pay something for it. He does not even confirm that it was ever agreed upon that there was going to be payment, that the events that happened that night were given as a directive by Puff. And the only thing that he does is that he mentions about Von Zip handing him the gun that was used in the unaliving of Tupac, according to Keffe D. But he does not connect Puff to that. And so, like I said, in order for us to get to this grand conspiracy that everyone else keeps coming up with behind these whole series of events, and then some of them use it to dispel and say we don't even think that Keffe had anything to do with it at all, right? You would have to say that too many things were set in motion by all of these individuals. And I think the most pivotal piece and pivotal detail for me, where I have conflict with, is this altercation that took place between Baby Lane, Tupac, Suge, and other members of Death Row. How did we get to that? How did that become the focal point that then is what is said to have kicked off all the events that night, if this was orchestrated? If I'm going to believe, like some of these other individuals out here have said, that this was somehow either conspired or orchestrated by Reggie Wright, if this was conspired and orchestrated behind P. Diddy, if it was conspired and orchestrated by the Las Vegas police, LAPD, whatever. I don't know what government entity they're claiming did all of this. I guess the LAPD. If I'm going to believe that this was orchestrated by any of those individuals, how did what happened to Baby Lane figure into that? Somehow the events that took place in the altercation with Baby Lane that night had to have something to do with that conspiracy, in order for these other individuals to know that they could seize on the opportunity so that they could make it look like Baby Lane did it. Because without that situation with Baby Lane, how do you create a story that Baby Lane did this if it was not for the altercation that happened that night? So what you are leading me to believe is that somehow they orchestrated that incident with Baby Lane. And if they orchestrated that incident with Baby Lane, what did Keffe D know? What did he do? What part did he play in orchestrating that plan to incite Pop to jump on Baby Lane, and then the rest of Death Row and Suge? And then now they have their incident that occurred where now they can make it look like Baby Lane is a decoy. He did it. He's responsible. But really, it was someone else. It was Puff. It was Von Zip. It was the LAPD. It was Reggie Wright. How did Baby Lane figure into this theory? That's my question. That's what I want people to answer. And if you place him in the theory, if you send him off as the decoy to spark the whole events that night to get the outcome you wanted, then what does that say about Keffe D and what he had to do with this? It still makes him a co-conspirator. It still makes him responsible. It still makes part of his statements true, that he had something to do with the orchestration of the unaliving of Tupac. And when you get that, you get a guilty. That's what I get to. That whether this was by happenstance, that this happened as a result of an altercation that took place between Baby Lane, and this was retaliation, and Keffe looked at it as a moment to seize the opportunity to make some money. He thought he was going to get from Puff because Puff wanted them gone anyway. So either it was by happenstance or all of this happened, or it was orchestrated. And if it was orchestrated, then that means that the incident that took place with Baby Lane had something to do with the orchestration of the event. On that, you guys, I'm done with Keffe for today. I got a couple of things I need to do. I may come back to you guys to talk to you about circus drama, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the circus, y'all. And I don't want to mix it in with this live. But I gotta run to the store. I don't have a lot to do. I got a couple of things I need to do. I just gotta run to the store and make a couple of errands. When I come back, I might come back live so that I can talk to you guys about what's going on with Blueface in the circus. And listen, y'all, Blueface ain't even home this weekend. That girl is a centimeter dilated, and he ain't even home this weekend. On that, I love you guys. Peace. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good evening.